Lord of the Apocalypse. I start with a level 10 unit. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. The undead knights lined up and charged. Some sporadic monsters encountered along the way were trampled by the iron hooves of the skeleton war horses and turned into meat paste. It has to be said that when the undead knights line up and charge together, they are quite powerful. Sporadic and small-scale monsters simply cannot resist their sharpness. Only when encountering large-scale monsters can it be possible to stop the undead knights' charge state. However, the order Suya gave before was not for Andre to lead his army of undead knights to conquer the enemy. Rather, it acts as a motivator. Make good use of the high mobility of the undead knights to provoke and taunt monsters, and attract them to the attack range of the dragon hunter and the force of nature mage for an ambush. In terms of the damage of dragon hunter and force of nature mage, it couldn't be easier to deal with small batches of monsters. Chapter 267. Divide and Strike. The hard-working troll. Subscription for the second watch. After charging nearly a kilometer towards the battlefield, the army of undead knights led by Andrew successfully attracted the attention of a large number of monsters. It was a black tiger, more than 5 meters in length and 2 meters in height, with a tail behind its buttocks, like a steel whip, swinging vigorously, led by an exceptionally large black tiger. There were 4,000 to 5,000 of them, headed by black tigers. Turning into a black wave and rushing towards the army of undead knights, the 6th level black tiger, a monster with high agility, is a bit difficult to deal with. Andre made a decisive decision. Immediately he ordered a U-turn and flew towards the direction where even Lin Yangtze had laid an ambush. The Black Tiger Legion was really fooled, and thought it was because there were only a few hundred undead knights who were afraid. One by one, they followed behind the undead knight army as if they had been injected with chicken blood, like the arms trained by the Lord. Wild monsters can also be upgraded by killing other monsters or the Lord's arms. Therefore, in the eyes of the Black Tiger Legion, these 500 undead knights are just a piece of fragrant steamed bun. As long as it can be swallowed, it is bound to increase a lot of strength. However, this is a trap. With the speed of the undead knight and black tiger, the distance of 1,000 meters can be covered in less than 2 minutes. As soon as they entered the valley, even Lin Yangtze, who had been preparing for a long time, gave an order. More than 500 dragon hunters and more than 700 natural forces emerged from the mountains on both sides. Condescending, it releases dense, raindrop-like attacks of various colors. What about bursting armor, piercing arrows, endless rain of arrows, an elemental magic circle, and so on? It pours out as if you don't want money. More than 3,000 black tigers who entered the encirclement had no time to react, and more than half of them were killed or injured. The leader of the black tiger was also beaten to death. With a groan, he rushed towards Andre angrily. It seems that he wants to kill this guy who lured him into the encirclement, but the next moment, Andre gave an order, and all the undead knights turned around and charged again. Under the almost perfect charge, the remaining more than 1,000 black tigers were killed and injured in minutes. Even the leader of the black tiger was no exception. He was pierced by the sharp edge of the cavalry and fell to the ground instantly after a successful blow. Andre repeated the action just now. Start to induce the second batch, third batch, and fourth batch of monsters to enter the encirclement in the same way. Tens of thousands of monsters were killed in the valley that was ambushed. There were piles of corpses, which was horrible at the same time. Su Yi and Zhilong have successfully stirred up the battlefield. The trolls were the first to bear the brunt and became the first target of the giants' concentrated fire. Up to now, more than 2/3 of the trolls have died in battle. The remaining third fled around under the leadership of the leader. Leader, what should we do now? There are only less than 1/3 of our people left. A burly troll holding a longbow followed closely behind Ankun and shouted anxiously. Ankun was burning with anxiety, and his face was gloomy. Listen to my order, run to the Lich camp, and ask Bernice to help us. The trolls following Ankun heard the words and looked at each other in dismay. With some hesitation, boss, we have a lot of problems with Bernice. Will she help us? Yes, chief. What if Bernice sees that we are weak and bites us? Ankun clenched his fists and roared angrily. That human lord wants to divide our 3 major forces. I believe Bernice is definitely not that stupid. Come with me. As he spoke, Ankun accelerated his speed sharply, avoiding the attacks of the giant dragons, and went straight to the Lich's camp. After a short period of confusion, the Lich faction has been reorganized under Bernice's orders and withdraw from the central battlefield, and stand by on the periphery. This move can be said to make the most of the advantage of being a fisherman. However, the good times didn't last long. At this moment, Kun brought the remnants of the trolls and ran towards this site. It successfully attracted the attention of a large number of giant dragons, and they also flew towards this side. This scene, in the eyes of Bernice and other liches, made these guys all change their faces. Damn, Kun, that bastard, brought the dragon here, a lich exclaimed. Bernice's face was ugly, and her fists were creaking. Quick, get ready to meet the enemy, Bernice ordered. The few liches next to him looked at each other, with hesitant expressions. Boss, no, once we attack the giant dragon, it will definitely arouse the hatred of the giant dragon, and the consequences will be disastrous. Leader, why don't you give an order? We will block the trolls and prevent them from approaching. Leader, the liches were chattering away. Bernice felt upset when she heard this, and angrily scolded, it's too late, listen to my order and get ready to fight. Saying that, Bernice was the first to bear the brunt and approached in the direction where the troll was coming. Seeing this, the other liches had no choice but to follow Bernice as the Lich King, the leader, and the liches must obey her orders. Therefore, the liches who had already withdrawn from the battlefield, under the leadership of the Lich King Bernice, reorganized their formation and built a line of defense in the direction where the trolls were running. 2 minutes later, Kun had already brought his remnants to Bernice. Exhausted, it staggered and fell to the ground. Bernice, help me, and help yourself. The human lord wants to divide our 3 major forces. If you still ignore it, after the death of my troll family, it will be the turn of the undead and witches. Demon, this is the rhetoric that Kun has long thought of, and it is also something that has already begun to happen in the field. When Bernice heard the words, she immediately understood what Kun meant. She looked down at Kun, her blue hair dancing wildly in the wind. Kun, I can help you, but you. Before Bernice finished speaking, Kun spoke first. As long as you are willing to help me, after the human lord is wiped out, I will help you take the gold mine and give it all to you. I, Kun, will give you every cent, do not want any. When Bernice heard this, her purple pupils lit up, and then glanced at the thousands of remnants behind Kun, then nodded, okay, I'll help you. Chapter 268, The 3 Great Forces. Joint forces. Hearing this, Kun was overjoyed, thanked him quickly, then got up from the ground, formed a formation with the liches, and prepared to face the dragon. As for Bernice, she has already figured out everything. After that, there are 2 reasons for agreeing to Kun's request. First, as Kun said, if the troll is eliminated by the dragon, then the next one will definitely be the turn of the lich and the undead. Judging from the current situation, that, the human lord with the giant dragon must have come for the gold mine. Therefore, as long as the lich and the undead are still on this battlefield, they will definitely be attacked rather than being killed one by one like this. It is better to join together and kill the dragon first. In this way, the chances of the Lich clan getting the gold mine may be greater. Second, Kun said that as long as Bernice and him resist the dragon, after the matter is completed, he will help the Lich seize the gold mine. This point is very important. After all, the overall strength of the undead is still above the Lich. Without the troll, the Lich alone can't grab the gold mine, but with the help of trolls, it will be easy. As for whether Kun will lie, there is no need to worry about this at all. It now has thousands of remnants, and the general trend is over. If you talk to deceive Bernice, then there is only one consequence, and that is to be killed by the Lich clan. From this point of view, helping Kun has many benefits. Of course, the premise is that the Lich and the troll can join forces to resist the dragon, otherwise everything is empty talk. They're coming, attack. Kun looked at the giant dragon that had already flown above his head, and shouted loudly. The remaining thousands of trolls shot out one after another, attacking towards the sky. The liches were no exception, and under Bernice's order, they began to attack the dragon. Most of the liches' attacks are long-range attacks on the spiritual level. Now they are all released, but they have caused some obstacles to the giant dragon in the sky, but the effect is not too strong after all. The level difference between the 2 sides is huge, and all control effects will be greatly reduced in the sky. Suyi rode blazing, scanning the trolls and liches who have joined forces below. The corners of their lips curled slightly. Is it useful to join forces? After saying that, Suyi patted Fiery on the back. The latter understood, retracted his wings, swooped down, and approached the ground in a crushing posture. The dragon's mouth opened wide, and fiery dragon's breath spewed out from the air, sweeping across Gundam. Tens of thousands of damage figures are crazily rising. As long as the troll and lich are within the attack range of the dragon's breath, the life value will be greatly reduced and cleared. Then screamed and died instantly. Scenes like this are happening in battle. It was the first time for Bernice to fight a giant dragon. Seeing the situation at this moment, her heart was pounding. Chapter 177. For some reason, she always has an ominous premonition at the same time. The undead camp where the necromancer Hilter is. All kinds of skeleton monsters are crowded together, protecting the necromancer group. In the center, Hilt sat on the throne of bones, listening to the report of the necromancer under his hand. The troll leader, Unkun, brought his remnant soldiers join Bernice, together with a lich, to resist the dragon together. Now, most of the dragon's main force is in the lich camp, and the battle between the two sides has reached a fever pitch. To the east, we found a medium-sized army of undead knights. With the help of unknown ambush soldiers, many monsters have been killed. Hilt listened quietly, and the more he listened, the blue soul fire under the cloak burned more intensely. Seeing this, the necromancers around knew that Hilt's mood was turning upside down. After listening to the necromancer's report, Hilt stood up from the throne of bones with a bang. Hurry up, send me an order, gather all units, join the trolls and liches, and fight against the dragon together. As soon as these words came out, the necromancers next to him looked at each other. Some of them couldn't understand Hilt's order. Brother, trolls and liches are our competitors. It's a good thing for them to fight with dragons. Isn't it good for us to watch? A necromancer said. Hilt heard the words, and he slapped him when he went up. Your sister is big. That human lord took advantage of the friction between our three major forces, and wanted to separate us and kill us one by one. Now we have only one opponent. That's the dragon. If we don't get rid of the dragon, we will die sooner or later. After the voice fell, several necromancers around woke up. Before, they wondered why the giant dragons only stared at the trolls attacking after they caused a wave of riots, and did not touch their undead at all. Emotion is the idea, of course. Humans are cunning. Brother, why don't we go to the east and get rid of the troops in the east? Another necromancer said. Hilt shook his head when he heard the words. No, the most terrifying thing in this battle is the giant dragon. If we don't get rid of them, we will never be able to get the gold mine. Listen to my order, immediately attack, and guide other monsters together to attack the dragon together. After saying that, Hilt stood up and ran towards the battlefield of giant dragons, liches, and trolls. The other necromancers yelled, and the army of tens of thousands of undead followed closely. In addition, they also mobilized other common monsters under coercion and lure. An army of 5 or 6 million ordinary monsters and an army of 5 or 6 million undead went straight to the dragon battlefield. Hundreds of thousands of monsters moved together. The movement was not small. Soon it fell into the eyes of Eva and Lin Yangtze on the eastern mountain. What to do? The army is heading towards Brother Su. Lin Yangtze looked anxious. A little uncertain to pay attention. Eve had to calm down, think for a moment, and ordered sternly, "We'll go there too, to relieve the pressure on the Lord." After finishing speaking, Eve greeted Andre, led the three-party army, and began to move accordingly. The sudden change on the battlefield made the final battle start earlier. The monster camp began to join forces to resist the dragon. The pressure that Suya and others need to face will increase exponentially. So, can Suya break out from the siege of so many monsters and seize the gold mine? Chapter 269. 30 scrolls of forbidden spells. Throw them together. One more subscription. Ask for flowers. Ask for tickets. Ask for everything. The place where liches and trolls gather and Kun and Bernice are fighting side by side. Suddenly, a lich ran towards this side and hurriedly saluted Bernice. "Queen, Hilt is bringing the undead over there." As he spoke, the lich pointed in a certain direction. Upon hearing this, Bernice exchanged a glance with Kun, her eyes full of doubts. "It won't come to take advantage of the fire, will it?" Bernice was a little uncertain and Kun's face changed slightly, and he shook his head. "Probably not. Hilt is not so stupid. Taking advantage of the fire to rob people now is not good for anyone. If I guess wrong every time, he should come to help." Hearing this, Bernice understood what Kun meant. "I'm afraid Hilt can't see it anymore. He knows that now he needs to join forces with the lich and the troll, and make a concerted effort to kill the dragon first. Let's talk about the gold mines." "Hopefully so," Bernice murmured, and Kun saw that Bernice was still a little worried, and gritted his teeth. "Well, you are here to command a battle. I will negotiate with Hilt, and it will be beneficial to find out its intentions." Earlier act. Bernice nodded upon hearing that. She has now reached a cooperative relationship with Kun. She is still willing to give this trust. "Well, you go early and come back early," Kun responded, holding the giant axe, and ran towards the direction of the undead army. It didn't realize it until it ran to the periphery of the battlefield. Things are more complicated than I imagined. The army of the undead is coming, but it also brought other monsters. A mighty army of hundreds of thousands is rushing towards this side, not to mention anything else. Just this amount is enough to make people tremble. Even Kun felt that if Hilt really wanted to do some tricks at this time, it would really be possible to succeed. "I hope you're not," Kun prayed in his heart. After waiting in place for a few minutes, he successfully met Hilt. Wang Yao of the two races looked at each other. Hilter, are you here to help? An Kun shouted loudly. Hilt, who was on the opposite side, snorted coldly after hearing the words, "Stop talking nonsense. Now our three major forces are in unison to drive out this human lord first, and then talk about the gold mine. How about it?" When An Kun heard this, he grinned. "You should have thought so. Attack." Hilt nodded and ordered the undead army to attack in itself, and the other nameless, at once lay out the hexagram. Streams of light rose into the sky, and the dense sound of the undead monsters falling around them rang out. The summoned undead creatures begin to gather together automatically, then turned into bone monster. Hilt is very self-aware. It is very clear that those ordinary undead creatures, even liches, trolls, etc., cannot compete with a dragon army no matter how much you go. It's just to deliver food. Only the bone demon summoned by the necromancer's six-pointed star array can compete with a dragon army. The most important thing is that the bone devil is almost immortal. As long as there are enough undead creatures nearby, the bone devil can always recover and fight. In this way, the bone demon attracts the attention of the giant dragons, buys enough time for other monsters, and it will not be difficult to win the battle when the time comes. But Hilter knew that Suyi knew about the bone demon's cracking method a few months ago. At this moment, the sky above the battlefield, Suyi rode blazing, scanning the entire battlefield. When he saw the army of undead coming towards this side, he gave a bit of a sigh but no surprise. Finally, I have reacted, and it seems that I have to change my tactics, Suyi thought to himself. In the previous battle, he did take advantage of the friction between the three major forces, as well as the premise of estrangement, but now, these guys have reacted and they have to join hands to kick themselves, the human lord, out of the game. First, that being the case, there's only one way for Suyi to seize the gold mine, that is to kill all the monsters on the battlefield. Now is the time for undead monsters to unite with other monsters and enter the battlefield. They are very dense and crowded with each other, and this happened to be Suyi's second chance. With a big wave of his hand, Suyi took out many scrolls of forbidden spells from the Lord's space. There are more than 10 fires, extreme cold storms, and sources of pain. These are Suyi's third whole cards besides Banner's explosion number 2 and his own dragon army. Without much hesitation, Suyi opened the scroll directly, then select the place with the most monsters on the battlefield and throw it out. The sky started a prairie fire. A blood-like fire cloud appeared at the end of the sky, and large fireballs appeared out of thin air, and then flew towards the position designated by Suyi at an extremely fast speed with a whistling sound. Extremely cold storm. After throwing it out, dark clouds began to gather in the sky above Suyi's chosen location, making it as gloomy as water accompanied by the howling cold wind. The dark clouds over the battlefield kept rolling. Not long after, there were ice crystals of different shapes, blazing with cold air, breaking through the clouds and shooting towards the ground, and a source of pain. Countless wraiths will be summoned, enter the battlefield, and cause spiritual damage to the enemies in the field. In less than 2 minutes, Suyi had thrown out all 30 scrolls of 30 forbidden spells. In an instant, the sky and the earth changed color. The monsters on the ground battlefield, Hilt, An Kun, Bernice and others, as well as Eve, Lin Yangtze and others who were rushing towards this side, were all stunned. Hilt and other necromancers who had just summoned the bone demon, the fire of soul in their heads flickered violently. He watched helplessly above his head, fireballs bigger than water tanks falling from the sky. Fuck, this is a forbidden spell skill. What is the origin of this human lord? A necromancer exclaimed. Hilt was trembling with anger, and roared, "Don't worry about this, everyone protect themselves. Once we die, the six-pointed star array will be broken, and then there will be nothing to stop the dragon." Chapter 178. Chapter 270. The finishing touch of the whole battle. Subscribe for the second watch. Indeed, the first requirement for constructing a hexagram array is to have at least 6 necromancers. One more is fine, but one less is absolutely not. Now, the location of Hilt and other necromancers is being locked by the skyfire. Escape is impossible. The only way is to save your life to continue the next battle under Hilt's order. The 6 summoned bone demons lowered their bodies and crossed each other with a bony body, prepare to forcibly resist forbidden spell skills. Boom boom boom. Fireballs from heaven and earth fell from the sky and landed on the backs of these bone demons. One big hole after another was smashed. Bone demon Gundam. Millions of health points are rapidly decreasing. The body was also smashed to pieces. It turned into countless bone slags and fell from the sky, making Hilt and the others below look ashamed. Forbidden spells are powerful, but their duration is short. You only need to resist the most intense minute of damage, even if it has passed. However, under the dense and uninterrupted attacks of the sky and the prairie fire, 3 bone demons have already been defeated and turned into bone scum all over the ground. The other 3 were also beaten to pieces, almost to pieces. The undead who were directly smashed to death on the battlefield, and burned to death were even more uncountable. Of the 6 necromancers, 2 of them were smashed to pieces and were on the verge of death. Hilt was horrified, and quickly ordered treatment. In addition to the undead, other trolls, liches, and more other monsters, the casualties are even more tragic. The lich originally had an army of 40,000. They fought with the dragon for 20 minutes, and 10,000 were killed. The remaining 30,000 were bombarded by the forbidden curse skill, and only less than 10,000 remained. And the trolls are even worse. Originally there were only a few thousand soldiers and horses left, but now that they are damaged, the number is only 3 digits. The troll leader, Unkun's eyes were about to burst. He scanned the tragic situation around him, and almost vomited 3 liters of blood. This is the most failed war it has fought since it became the leader. Humiliation, unwillingness, anger, resentment and all kinds of emotions surfaced in its heart, stimulating its nerves. It even started to flinch. Want to immediately get out of the battlefield here. Out of the range of the dragon's attack. However, the war is not over yet, so where is the chance for it to retreat? Intensive dragon roars came from above. The giant dragon that retreated briefly just now has returned faster, more passionate. Fall from the sky at great speed, join the battlefield, and kill any monsters that survive. Unkun held a giant axe covered in blood, and pointed at the giant dragon, but at the next moment, he was pierced through the body by the blood dragon. The sharp dragon claws passed through the body, tearing Unkun's beating heart into several pieces. PFFT. With the dragon claw drawn out, Unkun spat out blood and fell to the ground. The surroundings were chaotic, and the noisy shouts of killing echoed. Unkun's consciousness gradually blurred. In the end, its world was dark. It's dead. The same thing happened to Lich King Bernice and Necromancer Hilt Suyefei was flying in the air, overlooking the entire battlefield, and had already spotted their positions bombed in a wave of forbidden spell skills afterwards. The giant dragon was assigned to attack and reach the endgame. The following results can be imagined. 2 dying necromancers who were being treated were approached by more than a dozen dragons under the mixed attack of Dragon's Breath, Ice Crystal, and Holy Light. The 2 fell to the west in an instant. Hilt was furious, holding the death scythe tightly to fight against the dragon. Then he was burnt to blood by the blazing dragon's breath that arrived from behind. I haven't had time to drop a few harsh words. Then he was supplemented by other giant dragons, and the 6 necromancers were all killed. And then there's Bernice the Lich Queen. Her ending is not much better than that of Unkun and Hilt after being overtaken by the ice giant dragon. He breathed a cold breath and froze into ice lumps. After a few rounds of backups, the life value was emptied, and the fart was on the spot. The 3 major races that lost their leader's control were in a mess in an instant. Some continued to fight, some fled, and some were even scared to death. One by one, wave after wave, they were harvested by the dragon over the battlefield. Suya sat on Blazing's back, scanning the battlefield, eyes full of relief, throwing out more than 30 forbidden spell scrolls. Together is the finishing touch of the whole war. Now, the big picture is set. Although the 3 major forces still have large armies, their command systems have been destroyed, and it is only a matter of time before the entire army is wiped out. As for other scattered monsters, the level is not high, although there are many in number, but they can't get a unified order, and they will be eliminated for sure. Behind him came the sound of a dragon flapping its wings. Suyi looked back, and Banners, who had been on the battlefield for several laps, had returned to him. The little old man looked at Suyi with strange eyes at this moment. Did you plan all this? Banners asked. The corners of Suyi's lips curled slightly. Well, so far, the effect is not bad. Banners was speechless before Suya threw out the scroll of the forbidden spell. He saw Hilt running towards this side with an army of hundreds of thousands, and thought that Suya would withdraw temporarily, but who would have thought that this guy would suddenly pull out more than 30 scrolls of forbidden spells from his pocket. The indiscriminate bombing in the air disrupted the pattern of the battlefield. In an instant the coalition of trolls and liches was disrupted. The hundreds of thousands of troops brought by Hilt were beaten and fled in all directions. Seeing that Banners didn't speak, Suya snapped his fingers. Okay, clean up the mess, and then take over the gold mine. At that time, you will be busy. Saying that, Suya blinked at Banners. The latter swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Suya once said that he would become the strongest human race before this war. Banners thought that Suya was bragging, but now, after this war, Banners no longer thinks so. Suya is ruthless, violent, thoughtful, and strategizing. Perhaps he can really realize all the cowhide he has blown on the other side. Eve, Lin Yangtze, and Andre have already led troops into the battlefield. In front of them at this moment are tens of thousands of all kinds of monsters who have been terrified and fled in all directions. Naturally, I will not refuse the experience points delivered to my door. Chapter 271, Occupying the Gold Mine. The scale is super large. The next 3 hours, the more than 200,000 monsters gathered here, all of them died or fled, have all been dealt with around the entire gold mine. it becomes, there is no more monster there are, but densely packed, countless corpses of various colors, many, dense, miscellaneous, piled up on the battlefield. Shocking. Suyu descended from the sky riding blazing, and gathered with Eve, Lin Yangxi and others. How is it? Everyone is alright. Suyu scanned the crowd and asked. Everyone shook their heads upon hearing this. We're fine, we just lost some units, Eve said. Suyu raised his eyebrows. Well, this is what he expected after all. It was a battle against an army of 200,000, even if Suyu had already planned everything and strategized. The casualties of his own troops would still be inevitable. Even the giant dragon was killed 3 times in the fierce battle. It was a first-level giant dragon, newly summoned by Suyu. Its attributes were not high. After entering the battlefield, it encountered several concentrated fires, so it was killed a little distressed, but helpless. Calculate the casualties. Wait, report to me. Suyu arrived. Eve, Andre, and Lin Yangxi nodded 3 times and retreated, and Suyu took advantage of this time to find banners, and took the little old man straight to the mountain ahead. That is the gold mine that Suyu dreamed of. In front of the mountain, Banners took out an instrument from nowhere. As soon as the instrument was turned on, the instrument made a rapid beeping sound. Seeing this, Banners was shocked. God, the scale of this mine is even bigger than that of the Three-Eyed Clan. Suyu was also overjoyed when he heard the words, great, great. Big means high output. The higher the output, the faster his development will be. Chapter 179. It is best to support the development of the three territories of Starfield, Galaxy, and Dryad in this way. These three territories can enter the stage of rapid development. Let's Suyu speed up and become stronger. Calculate the time. When can we start work? Suyu looked at Banners. Hearing this, the latter pondered for a while. The mine hasn't been dug out yet. According to the data, the ore vein should be 50 meters underground. How about it? I'll go back and build a few large machines, and then we can start mining. Suyu did not refuse Banner's request, although he also wanted it right away. It takes time to mine out the veins, right? There are some things that cannot be rushed. That's alright, you can figure it out. I'll just say, the sooner the better. After finishing speaking, Suyu turned and left. Banners carried his own machine and ran all over the mountains and plains, so he's ready to explore the entire vein in size. By the time Suyu returned, Eve, Andre, and Lin Yangxi had already counted the casualties of the war. Eve reported, in this war, the casualties are as follows. Undead Knights, 58 units died in battle. Since however, Elven Mage, 39 units were killed. Dragon Hunter, 15 units were killed, and Dragon, 3 units were killed. Suyu sighed softly after hearing this. In his view, this figure is still too large. If this idea falls into the ears of other lords, those people must give Suyu a few slaps. What the hell? You have wiped out more than 200,000 monsters, and you still think it's too big for this casualty? If they were them, they would have jumped into the sky happily to kill them. Suyu was sad for a moment, and continued to order, clean up the battlefield, come on, and prepare to go back to the city. Everyone nodded, and arranged for their troops to enter the battlefield, pick up the various resources and props that fell out, and gather around Suyu. Suyu stood on a small hill, with his hands behind his back, looking up at the sky. It was dusk at this moment. The golden crow was falling to the west, and the blood-like glow came out from the clouds and filled the ground, imbuing the entire battlefield with a sense of chilling. An hour later, the battlefield was almost cleaned up. The resources Suyu obtained from the battlefield has already exceeded 100 million. And there are countless strange props and materials. Banners is also back. This old guy has explored most of the ore veins at this moment. She danced excitedly in front of Suyu. I've never seen such a big gold mine. My God, I'm so excited. Lord, go back quickly. I can't wait to drive the machine to mine here. Seeing the excited look of the little old man, Suyu waved his hand, and the teacher returned to court. First send Lin Yangxi and her force of nature mage back to the galaxy territory, then the giant dragon, Undead Knight, and Dragon Hunter, led by Suyu, lit the torches and marched in the dark night. After returning to the starfield, it was already late at night. Suyu quickly opened the angel statue. The rich and warm holy light sprinkled from the highest point of the starfield. All the troops who were injured and physically exhausted were arranged to be bathed in the holy light. Even Suyu himself is the same, lying side by side with Eve on their exclusive grass, with his hands behind his head. The fatigue in his body was still dispelled by the holy light. In this battle, Suyu used the scroll of forbidden curse to kill many monsters, although it was not a direct kill. It also gained a lot of experience points indirectly. Now, Suyu's level has soared to level 50, and his attributes have skyrocketed. The information is as follows: name, Suyu; occupation, warrior; level, Level 50 command power, 58 health points, 14 1 attack, 38 defense, 15 speed, 20 equipment, Shyamlan armor, streamer, Takesu boot skill, heavy attack, charge for 1 second, launch a fierce attack on the target, causing 10 times the damage, and a 10% chance of causing a stun effect whirlwind slash, rotate at a very fast speed, cut out a series of sword ki, and inflict multiple damages on the targets within the range fearless field, centering on oneself, open a field with a radius of 200 meters. The army in this field will increase its basic strength by 100%, and will not be deterred by high-level arms. A radius of 200 meters and a 100% attribute increases the full value, and the protagonist will not be able to get the increase if the protagonist's level is increased. Chapter 272 Goldmine Defense, Territory Number 1, Territory Number 2. When the level reaches level 50, all attributes have been significantly improved. The life value even exceeded 100,000, reaching more than 140,000. This value has surpassed the 7th and 8th ranks of troops. It is even compared to some 9th tier 9 arms. Then there are the special effects of skills, which have reached the full value. Charged slash, burst out 10 times the damage, fearless field. Double the unit attribute. Next, if Suya upgrades again, the skill effect will no longer increase. There is only simple attribute improvement. If you want to continue to become stronger, you need to manually learn some Lord skills in the middle and late stages of the Lord age. The importance of Lord skills becomes more and more obvious because this skill can directly affect the combat effectiveness of an entire corps. It is also the key for the Lord to lead troops to defeat the strong with the weak, and to defeat the many with a few. Therefore, Suya had to start thinking about the skills of those famous lords lying on the grass in the inner city of the Starfield. I bathed in the holy light for nearly half an hour. The exhaustion in Suya's whole body was swept away. He glanced at Eve beside him. The little girl seemed to be asleep. The pointed elf ears are shaking slightly. Very cute. Suya got up, picked up Eve by the waist, and walked towards the private house. If you want to rest, you can't rest here, right? Go back to your room and sleep. Eve was picked up by Suya. Her closed eyes opened a crack, and when she saw that it was Suya, she murmured and buried her head in Suya's chest and the arms on the other side. Banners has returned to his laboratory. This guy is a madman. As long as it's something he's interested in, he'll have to sleep and forget about eating and drinking. For example, the gold mining task that Suya gave him this time. Banners was so excited, he went straight to his laboratory after returning to the star field, and then started to get busy. He didn't care about his exhaustion from previous battles. Of course, this may also have something to do with Banner's physical condition. Half of his body is composed of machines, which can largely offset the loss of movement of the original body. In this way, his physical strength can be preserved for a longer period of time with the help of the machine. Fighting all night, it won't be a problem the next day. Suya got up early and had breakfast with Eve, so they reorganized the army and prepared to go out. Yesterday, the gold mine was occupied, but they didn't intend to get it all done. On the contrary, after occupying the gold mine, things have just begun. That's right, the trouble gold mine is a piece of fragrant steamed bun, and anyway race knows the importance of the gold mine. Therefore, once these guys find out where the gold mine is, they will immediately send troops to snatch it. In addition, some other low-level monsters will also be attracted by the energy of the gold mine, and spontaneously gather near the gold mine. It was the same situation as the gold mine a few days ago, being targeted by more than 200,000 monsters of various colors such as undead, liches, and trolls. Therefore, to ensure the safety of the gold mine, it is necessary to take the gold mine as its own completely. The first step that must be taken is to surround the gold mines, build a territory near the gold mine, build a defense line, and send troops to garrison. Only in this way can it be completely guaranteed that the gold mine will not be approached or even robbed by other monsters. It was getting late after the battle yesterday, so this matter has continued until today. After a little reorganization, the army is ready. Giant dragons, undead knights, and dragon hunters are all ready to go straight to the gold mine. After spending more than 2 hours, Suya and Eve arrived at the destination and took a closer look. Sure enough, monsters reappeared in the area where the battle just ended yesterday. Fortunately, the scale is not large, only about 20,000 to 30,000, and it is not an intelligent race, but some ordinary monsters wandering in the wilderness, wandering and scattered. Nothing to be afraid of. At Suya's order, the giant dragons charged. After several charges, 20,000 to 30,000 monsters were killed, leaving the body exposed in the wilderness. Suya rode blazing into the sky. He's about to start the enclosure. Yesterday, on the way back to the star field, He got a hand-drawn drawing from Banners. According to Banners, this is the specific shape and extent of the veins below the gold mine. Now, Suyi decided to use this hand-drawn drawing as a reference to build a territory near the gold mine. In fact, near the gold mine, there are still many Lord authentication altars. There are even many human territories that have been built, but after the breath of the gold mine leaked out, it attracted large-scale monsters to enter here. All human territories within this range have been affected. Either they were pushed and wiped out by monsters, or human lords had to give up their territories in order to survive. Wander the wilderness with your troops, and look for new places suitable for building territories. Now, these abandoned territories, as well as the unauthenticated Lord's altar, can just be used by Suyi, bringing Eve down from the sky. One altar after another began to authenticate. In addition to humans, heroes can also become Lords. Eve, Andre, Banners are fine. Authenticate the territories in several extremely key positions below. Then Suyi began to allocate funds for construction. Now his resource reserves, wood, stone ore, and iron ore are all over 1 billion yuan, except for gold coins, which are only 200 million yuan. Not too much, but it works. Assign these resources to Eve and Andre. Chapter 180. The two started from their own territory and built a series of facilities such as city walls, private houses, kitchens, city defense systems, etc. Under Suyi's order, the two territories took shape quickly. Of course, this is also done with the help of building acceleration scrolls. Otherwise, even if there are enough resources, it will take a lot of time to completely build the two territories. At this stage, Suyi has limited resources and cannot build a city wall to surround the entire gold mine. Therefore, we can only temporarily build two territories as sentry towers to guard the gold mine. In the two territories, there are all kinds of buildings, except that there is no barracks. This is also what Suyi requested for convenience and to save resources. The arms and defenders of these two territories will be provided by the star domain. Send 50 dragons to each territory. Couldn't be more suitable. Chapter 273. The two hit it off right then. Second, more for subscription. 100 giant dragons are guarding here. According to Suyi's estimation, at this stage, it should be completely enough. No need to worry about security issues. The two territories, one east and one west, are like two sentry towers, placed on both sides of the gold mine. Suyi's plan is to place 50 dragons in each of the two territories as garrisons. On weekdays, he patrols everywhere when he has nothing to do, and circles around the gold mine to prevent other monsters from approaching. As for a more comprehensive defense, Suyi will have to wait a while before making a long-term plan. There is no way. Resources are not allowed now. For the next 3 days, Suyi, Eve, and Andrew will be busy near the gold mine. There are three main tasks. First, clean up the monsters spread out radially around the gold mine, and clean up any monster lairs that can be seen. Second, consolidate the defense line. Although there are two territories serving as guard towers, Suyi is still a little worried about security. Therefore, during these 3 days, he looked down at the earth from the air, and kept the terrain near the gold mine in mind. This is very important. If something happens here in the future, Suyi will be able to respond in a very short time. Third, find a suitable entrance to the gold mine. This is what Banners said to mine gold mines. You must find a suitable mining entrance. You can't just find a place to dig down. This entrance, you must ask for a hidden point, and it must be relatively close to the underground mine veins, and this oil must be harder to prevent landslides. Suyi could still handle the above two tasks, but he had some difficulty finding the entrance. So in desperation, he had no choice but to pull the dwarf Vulcan over. Dwarves specialize in mining, and Vulcan is professional in this area. When Vulcan arrived at a place, he saw the gold mine and danced excitedly. Can't wait to immediately dive into the ground to retrieve a few pieces of gold ore. Suyi was a little speechless, and scolded this guy a few times to calm down. Now I give you a task to find a suitable location for mining. Vulcan restrained his excitement and led Suyi around the gold mine. Finally, it stopped in a valley. Lord, I think it is most appropriate and reasonable to open a mine here. Vulcan stamped the ground beneath his feet. Suyi heard the words and looked around. This place is in the low-lying area at the bottom of the valley, and the straight line distance from the underground gold mine should be the closest. In addition, both sides of the valley are cotton at that time. We only need to build city walls on the mountains on both sides. A line of defense can be built outside the valley, echoing the other two at that time. There is only one entrance into the valley. Sending heavy troops to garrison here can achieve the best effect of being invincible. After looking at it and making sure there is nothing wrong, Suyi ordered, "Okay, make a mark and dig down from here." Vulcan nodded, took out something from his lord's space, and marked it. "Lord, we dwarves are all good at mining, so it's good to entrust us with a heavy responsibility of mining." Vulcan volunteered. Suyi already had this idea, and nodded immediately. That's fine, but before that, you go to meet someone with me. Vulcan's face froze. Who are you seeing? The corners of Suyi's lips curled up, revealing a mysterious smile. You'll know when you get there. With that said, Suyi took Vulcan straight to the star field and it landed in front of Banner's laboratory today. Banners has been working behind closed doors for 4 days. I don't know if this guy has achieved anything. Suyi didn't show any politeness to him, and directly broke into the door. Then I saw Banners, who was busy in the laboratory. It has to be said that this little old man's hands-on ability is indeed quite powerful. In time, he has created a simple production line. Excavation equipment is currently being produced. Hearing the movement behind him, Bannis looked back and saw Suyi and Vulcan walking towards this side. Vulcan is also a person who knows things. When he saw Banners, he was excited and incoherent. You are from the Mechanical Kingdom? Banners raised his head proudly. That's right, one of the 6 leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom. Banners. When Vulcan heard this, he was overjoyed, and hurried to Banners. One of the 6 great leaders. I have long admired my name. I have long admired my name. Then, the two guys chatted. Bob blew up. Banners said how awesome he was, and Vulcan echoed. Vulcan said how he was, and Banners pretended to be surprised and agreed. Suyi stood at the back, looking at the two guys, one tall and one short, who sang one and the other. The corners of their eyes twitched violently. Finally he couldn't bear it any longer, so he slapped the table with his hand. Bang. After the muffled sound came out, Banners and Vulcan stopped their chatter and turned their heads to look at Suyi together. Suyi glared at them. Now, you two cooperate. I don't care what method you use. Within a month, I want to see the finished product appear. After finishing speaking, Suyi turned and left. He's not interested in listening to the two guys bragging. As soon as Suyi left, the two guys started chattering. Of course, what the two of them were talking about this time was not gossip, but how to build a gold mine. Vulcan is a dwarf, good at mining and forging. Banners is the top master of the Mechanical Kingdom, with super hands-on ability. The combination of the two is indeed a strong alliance. In less than 2 hours, a series of plans were drawn up, including how to dig out the mine, how to mine the ore, how to transport it, and where to build the gold coin workshop. The gold coin workshop is the most important thing, and the two agreed that it should be built in a safe and suitable place. Finally, one of the territories near the gold mine was selected. Why not Suyi's star domain or Lin Yangxi's Lake Island? That's because the mine is too far away from the star domain and Lake Island shipping costs are high. Secondly, if the transportation route is too long, the chance of encountering danger will be greater. Therefore, I can only choose the nearest one, and put it in the territory certified by Eve. Chapter 274. On the night of the full moon, looking for the beast summoner in the next few days, Suyi handed over the gold mine affairs to Vulcan and Banners with full authority. As for himself, after resting for a few days and remembering some things in his previous life, he chose to go to the tree demon territory again. When I went there last time, Suyi said that I wanted to find a stronger and more suitable unit for Sukainer to guard the territory of the tree demon. Now, the matter of the gold mine has temporarily come to an end, and it is time to finish this matter. After passing through the portal, when Suyi reappeared, he had already arrived at the territory of the tree demon. As soon as she appeared, she met Suzira. The little girl is full of travel and dust, and seems to be rushing to somewhere. Seeing Suyi, he immediately ran over. Brother, why are you here? I'm going back to the star field to look for you. Suyi frowned. What are you looking for? Suzira chuckled. Of course it's to see if you've finished your work, and then take me to find the troops. The corners of Suyi's lips twitched. Well, I knew there was nothing good about this girl. Well, to be honest, I came here this time for this purpose. Get ready and set off with me. Suzira was overjoyed when she heard that. She took Suyi's arm and said, Hee, brother, you are so kind. Suyi coughed lightly, and pulled out the arm that was deeply trapped in Suzira's tenderness. He was afraid that if Sukainer hugged her again, he would have some thoughts that he shouldn't have. Suzira seemed to realize a certain problem. Her pretty face blushed immediately, and she followed Suyi without saying a word. The two rode on blazing, and then, under Suyi's guidance, flew towards the South. Beast Summoner, an 8th rank unit, is also a very famous unit. In the previous life it exists in a ruin thousands of kilometers south of Zhongzhou. This is Suyi's memory, calculated according to time. At this time, that arms should not have been discovered yet. Of course, this is just Suyi's calculation. After all, because of his appearance in this life, it has already caused quite a butterfly effect, and many things have appeared in advance, so Suyi must speed up his steps in certain matters. The blazing speed was so fast that it flew south. With the two of them it took 3 days of stop and go for a distance of nearly 2,000 kilometers before arriving. Originally, they could arrive in 2 days, but on the way, The two encountered a lot of trouble, so it took a day to delay. Chapter 181. At this moment, Suyi and Suzir have arrived at the sky above a tropical rainforest by riding. Blazing below is a dense jungle, and countless dense forests are heard from the depths, noisy and dense, making people look pale. The general location of the ruins has been found, but Su knows the exact location. There is no other way. I can only bring Suzir here. Fortunately, Blazing is a flying unit. You can fly with two people in the air, and look down at the earth from the air, so you can be more comprehensive and know many things in advance. After turning around in the vicinity, the sky was getting dark, so Suya had no choice but to order Chi-Lai to return to the ground, find a place to light a bonfire and prepare to rest. Suzir added firewood to the fire and started to roast a meat, and Suya, leaning on the big rock beside him, carefully recalled all the information and memories about the Beast Summoner in his previous life. Beast Summoner is the pioneering unit of human sea tactics, quite famous in the previous life. Suya also knows several places where templates of this type of arms are produced. The reason why I came here is because the distance here is closer, but it was only after arriving at the destination that Suya realized that it was not easy for him to find the template of the Beast Master Summoner. Because I don't know the exact location at all, I only know a rough idea, which is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. Thinking of this, Suyi felt a little depressed, sitting quietly, lost in thought. Seeing Suyi's dignified expression, Sukainer frowned, and tactfully did not disturb her. After silently roasting the barbecue, Suyi was woken up. Brother, it's time to eat. Suyi brought her thoughts back to reality, and as a result, Suzir began to eat the barbecue in big mouthfuls. Through the memories just now, he already has some clues about how to find the Beast Summoner. In my memory, the unit template of the Beast Master Summoner appeared in the tropical rainforest. Because there are many wild animals in this place, and on the night of the full moon every month, it is the time when the Beast Summoner appears to capture the soul of the beast. Suyi looked up at the night sky, and the bright moon was almost approaching a perfect circle. In other words, in the next 2 or 3 days, it will be the night of the full moon. This is the only way Suyi can think of to have the greatest chance of meeting the Beast Summoner. With a solution, Suyi felt relieved, and after eating and drinking enough, she took Sukainer to bed. The little girl seldom sleeps in the wilderness, and the roar of the monsters around made her flustered, so she had no choice but to lie down next to Suyi. After he fell asleep, this guy went too far. He put a long leg on Suyi's body, and a pair of jade arms unceremoniously embraced Suyi, as if he had already regarded Suyi as his plush toy. Suyi was a little helpless, but seeing Sukainer's sleeping profile, she had no choice but to give up and let the girl hug her. This sleep was not restful after all. In the tropical rainforest, there are many monsters. In the first 4 hours of the night, more than 30 waves of monsters broke into Suyi's territory. In desperation, Suyi had no choice but to summon more giant dragons, form a circle around them, and release the power of the dragons, so that the surrounding monsters dare not approach it. Well, it also allowed me to sleep peacefully for a few hours in the second half of the night. The next day, it was just dawn, and the two of them were awakened by the chirping of birds in the forest. Those guys are just noisemakers, chattering and annoying. After a brief repair, the two set off again, riding a giant dragon and circling over the rainforest. But unfortunately, nothing was gained. Time passed quickly, and soon came 2 days later. That is the night of the full moon that Suyu was thinking about. Just tonight. Chapter 275. Suzir, is this a savage? The night of the full moon has come. After night fell, Suyi dragged Sukainer onto Blazing's back and flew into the sky. The cold silvery white moonlight falls on the earth, covering the earth with a layer of silver, perhaps affected by the night of the full moon. The monsters in the jungle are more active than ever. Suyi scanned the jungle below, with a dignified expression. Keep your eyes bright, the unit you want may appear soon. Suzir was a little puzzled when she heard this, but seeing that Suyi didn't look like he was joking, he became serious, and together with Suyi, scanned the jungle below. Sure enough, when it was close to midnight, there was a huge commotion in the jungle. It seems that a new force has entered the jungle. The monsters living in the jungle became visibly excited. There are even quite a few running wildly in the jungle, turned the whole jungle upside down. Seeing this scene, Suyi clenched his fists. Here we come, then signaled Blazing to descend the flight altitude, and flew towards the most chaotic area in the jungle. After getting closer, Suyi finally saw long-lost and familiar figures. Humanoid creatures, wearing animal skins, have a strong body and move quickly in the jungle. The number is probably between 50 and 60. Suzir obviously also noticed the existence of these guys. Her eyes widened in surprise. What kind of savages are these? The corners of Suyi's eyes twitched. You wild girl, you wild man, stop talking nonsense and keep up with him. Suyi ordered fiercely tapped the huge dragon's head, led Suyi and Suzir, and followed behind these beast summoners. These guys move fast in the jungle. Any wild beasts you see cannot escape their palms and are forcibly killed. Then put the bracelet on the wrist on the head of the slain beast. Suyi judged that this should be absorbing the soul of the beast. Beast summoner, summoner. Most of the strength comes from the beast that he summoned, and to summon the beast master, and make the beast master stronger, the beast's soul is needed, and the bracelets should be the props to absorb the beast's soul. By absorbing the beast's soul, make your own beast stronger. The night of the full moon is like a grand event. Almost all the beast summoners will appear on this day. Crazy loading of beast souls, and this happened to be Suyi's chance to find them. Now follow behind these guys. Follow all the way to the sky and turn fish belly white. These guys are reluctant to end the battle. The group ran towards the depths of the jungle. They should go back. Suyi quickly ordered Chilai to follow closely. It flew out for more than 10 kilometers. And then came to the outside of a canyon. The beast summoner disappeared after entering the canyon. Come to think of it, their base camp is right here. Having found the destination, Suyi relaxed a lot and ordered Zhi to fall from the sky. Then I found a place to rest for a while. An hour later, the sky brightened. Only then did Suyi set off again, riding blazing into the canyon. Fruitless, however. Just after entering the canyon, Suyi found a ruins portal on the side of the canyon. Without further ado, just enter. It's like walking through a curtain of water. When the 2-in-1 dragon reappeared, they had already appeared in another space. As soon as they entered, they were stared at by thousands of pairs of eyes. That's right, Suyi was discovered. In other words, before they entered here, they had already been discovered by the beast summoners. Therefore, almost all the beast summoners in this ruins have gathered at the entrance of the portal, waiting for Suyi to appear. Sure enough, Suyi really appeared, and there was the confrontation that we have now. It doesn't feel good to be stared at by thousands of people, especially Suzir, who shrank her head and hid behind Suyi. Suyi was quite calm. He glanced at the army of beast summoners in front of him, with the cold light in his eyes. Now that you've been discovered, then use tougher methods. With a wave of your hand, the unit ring is open. A total of 50 giant dragons were taken out by Suyi and hovered in the midair of the ruins. Seeing Suyi summoning the giant dragon, the beast summoners below became uneasy. They took up fighting stances, raised their braceleted hands above their heads with a crisp clanging sound. The bracelets on their wrists emitted a gentle white light. The next moment, beasts of various shapes were summoned from their bracelets. Suyi took a rough look, and among the group of beast summoners, the one with the fewest summoned beasts had 3. And the one with the most summoned beasts had 7. In an instant, tens of thousands of summoned beasts appeared in the open space below. Let out a low growl. Staring at Suyi and Suzir in the sky, Suzir was stunned when she saw this scene. She had never seen summoner-type arms and monsters. Surprised at the moment, not surprised, brother. This Suyi glanced at Suzir, expressionless. Don't be surprised, get ready to fight. Sukainer nodded, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and called out her staff. Woo woo woo. The beast summoners below let out strange roars. Chapter 182. The imperial beasts summoned by them became excited as if they were stimulated by something, and then ran towards the giant dragon with 4 hooves. More than 20,000 beasts have been summoned. Some of them are flying beasts, and some are long-range attacking beasts. At this moment, it can pose a threat to the dragon. Seeing this, Suyi no longer hesitated, and ordered to attack. Then, the 2 men and horses collided and began to fight. The ranks of the royal beasts are uneven. There are 3rd ranks, 4th ranks, and 7th ranks, 8th ranks. Regardless of no matter how high the level is, these guys all have a common characteristic, that is to be completely immune to the deterrence of the dragon. That's right, immunity. This should be one of the abilities of the beast summoner. It can increase the courage of the beast, and not be deterred by powerful arms, so as to achieve stronger combat effectiveness. Chapter 276. This is the 8th tier unit. Subscription for the second watch. At this moment, a fierce battle broke out. More than 50 dragons swooped down from the sky, entered the battlefield, and fought with the beasts summoned by the beast summoner. Suyi rode blazing, bearing the brunt of the fearless Linyu, and became the core of the dragon army. Although this has successfully enhanced the attributes of the giant dragons, it has also successfully made Suyi the focus of the beast summoners. Perhaps when fighting other arms, they will not have this awareness, but the beast summoners are different. They are the core of each battle, with various attributes and strength-enhancing skills. This is the so-called master skill. It's just that their lord skills are only effective for their own beasts. Because of this, these guys are well aware of how terrifying a lord's skills can be in battle. Then, Suyi became the target of the fire. This left Suyi speechless. I had no choice but to ride blazing and fly fast in the air. There's no way, you can't just stand there and let them bombard you. Suyi is not that stupid. Fortunately, the blazing speed is fast enough, The defense is high enough, and under the high-speed flight, it directly withstands a large number of attacks and forcibly closes to the ground and breathe out the dragon's breath. A scorching dragon's breath over 20 meters long swept across, enveloping hundreds of imperial beasts. When the flame flicks, the effect is grouped. Those strange beasts who were hit burped in an instant. The corpse lay on the ground. The faces of the beast summoners who were hiding behind and throwing their skills changed drastically, and they were whispering to each other without knowing what they were talking about. The giant dragon's onslaught continued, and under the leadership of Su Yi, they charged one after another. As time passed by, the number of beasts summoned by the beast summoners became less and less. An hour later, the entire army was wiped out. The remaining beast summoners resisted desperately. Su Yi waved his hand, and the dragon swarmed up, kill them quickly. In the end, the entire site became empty, leaving only corpses all over the ground. Su Yi retracted the dragons into the arms ring, and fell from the sky, riding blazing. Get close to the ground and fly towards the depths of the ruins now. It's time to get the final treasure. A few minutes later, Su Yi successfully found the template of the beast summoners unit on an altar and gave it to Su Zira. The little girl took it and was overjoyed. 8th tier troops, brother, this is an 8th tier army. Thank you so much. Saying that, the little girl took Su Zi by her arm and slapped Su Yi on the face. In the next second, Su Yi froze, including Su Kainer herself. She was excited just now, but she came back to her senses and quickly let go of Su Yi's neck. Brother, the corners of Su Yi's eyes twitched, and he wiped the drool on his cheek. Go home. As he said that, he took Su Zir back to Chili's back. Then it took off and flew towards the outside of the ruins. Su Zir sat behind Su Yi, looking at Su Yi's back, with a complicated expression in her eyes, both shocked and frightened. It took more than 2 days to return to the dry territory falling from the sky. The Golden Tree Demon King rushed forward to greet it. Su Kainer jumped off Blazing's back and listened to the report of the Golden Tree Demon King. Only then did Su Yi and Su Kainer learn that it was during the period when they left the Tree Demon's territory. There has been an attack here. Fortunately, the size of the opponent is not large, and it was successfully resisted. Sure enough, the Tree Demon's territory is a piece of fragrant steamed bun, the kind that anyone who sees it wants to come and touch it. It's no wonder that in the last life, this territory often changed hands, but now, it shouldn't be scary as long as Su Zir trains the 8th level beast summoner, and deploys defenses on the city wall with the strength of the 8th tier unit and the human sea tactics. I believe it can guarantee the safety of the Tree Demon's territory. After listening to the Golden Tree Demon King's report, Su Yi looked at Su Zir. Don't be impatient, train your new troops first. Su Zir slapped her head when she heard this. Yes, I almost forgot. This is the most important thing. After finishing speaking, he took out the template of the beast summoners unit from his lord's space, and then trotted towards the territory. Finally, accompanied by Su Yi, Su Kainer chose a spot on the open space behind the city wall. It's not too big, but it should be enough to train the beast summoners. Start building the barracks. Use the construction acceleration scroll, and the construction process will be completed in an instant. After the light dissipated, an altar appeared in front of Su Yi and Su Kainer. It is made of unknown pale white stones, with 444 corners. A bonfire is lit in the center of the altar. Is a portal, which leads to nowhere. Su Yi checked the altar information, as follows: Beast Summoner Altar, Level, Tier 8 Grade 1 Training Template, Beast Summoner Training Unit. 0 Training Requirements. 100,000 points. Training time. 10 required for upgrade. Lumber, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins are 8 million each. Similar to the barracks of other arms, the peak level of training units is 50. The 8th tier unit requires 1 million gold coins to train one. This is not a small amount after all. It is only 2 million to train a giant dragon. Su Zira obviously also saw that the training required 1 million gold coins, and her pretty face changed slightly. 1 million, so expensive. Su Zira complained. Su Yi laughed, and patted her on the shoulder. Don't think too much about it, no one has even seen an 8th tier unit. You've got a big deal. Su Kainer tilted her head, thinking about it too. Now most of the lords are in the primary stage, and the arms in their hands are generally tier 5 or tier 6. Stronger lords will have tier 7 troops, but at the 8th rank, there are still very few lords with this rank of troops. At least among the many lords Su Yi knew, none of them possessed an 8th tier unit. For example, Yufei from the northern Red Rose territory, Fang Yun from Tangxi, Duan Qinglian from Bishu, Li Zan from Zhongzhou, and Zhang Xianaya, etc. Among them, the highest ranked unit so far is only the 7th rank 8th step. Still can't get it out. Chapter 277, The Lord Who Doesn't Need Money. Then, under Su Yi's instruction, Suzier began to train the beast summoner. This guy received at least 600 million resources a few days ago. He is a master of money. As soon as he makes a move, there are 50 beast master summoners. Then use the troop training acceleration scroll to speed up the training progress. It takes 10 hours to train a beast summoner, but Suzier has the warrior master necklace, which can reduce the time by 30%. That's 7 hours of training 50 heads. 7 hours is 350 hours. Use the unit training acceleration scroll to instantly offset the 350 hours of training time. The light flashed, and one after another, the beast summoners were walking out from the portal in the center of the altar, same as the ones killed in the ruins before, wearing a rough animal skin, with a weird silver bracelet in his hand. The scariest thing is their faces. They are wearing some animal bone masks. They are so white, they look a little scary. A total of 50 beast summoners were trained and lined up in the open space in front of Suyi and Sukainer. Suyi found the nearest one, threw out the detection skill, and its attribute information appeared in Suyi's mind, as follows: Beastmaster Summoner, level 8, level 1 HP, 13 attack power, 50 defense power, 50 speed, 30 number of beasts, 3 skills, summoning beasts. The unique talent of each beast summoner: you can call out beasts to fight for you, and you can summon at least 3 beasts in each battle. If you die, you will not be able to fight again within 12 hours. Beast soul strengthening: the Beastmaster Summoner can absorb the enemy's soul power and transform it into the power of the beast soul in battle to strengthen his own Beastmaster. This is the best and fastest way to make the Beastmaster stronger. Roar of War: the Beast Summoner sends out a roar, causing a 30% attribute increase to his own beast, and adding a fearless effect. Fearless effect will not be affected by any deterrent skills. Beast Familiar Healing: unleash the spiritual power to heal the wounded Beast Familiar and recover the lost HP. This process can be completed in an instant. Description: humanoid creatures living in the wild world. In order to survive and continue the race, they have learned to control beasts to ensure their own safety. They are a race that cannot be underestimated. After reading the attributes, I already have a position in my heart for the beast summoner. As I thought before, these guys fight for themselves by summoning beasts, and there are lord level skills that can increase the power of the beast. Just level 1 can increase by 30%, and apply the fearless effect. This is critical. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183. Especially in the middle period of the Lord's Age, the Lord's arms and ranks are very different. If your arms rank ratio is low, then you will definitely be suppressed in battle, but it's different with fearlessness. Troops with this effect can be completely immune to the suppression between the ranks of this troop. It is commendable to keep your arms in the best fighting condition. The remaining summoning beasts and strengthening beast souls are all passive skills, but it's very important. After all, the beast summoner is output through the beast. Therefore, the strength of the imperial beasts directly determines their strength. The number of summoned beasts and the strength of the summoned beasts are all very important generally speaking. This 8th tier unit is not bad. It's not top-notch, but definitely above average. After seeing the attributes, Suzier was also very impressed, and said in her mouth that she picked up the treasure this time. Suyi flicked the little girl's forehead. Don't be impatient, continue training, strive to train an army as soon as possible, and protect the safety of the tree demon's territory. Suzier covered a forehead that was hurt by Suyi's blows, and pouted. Understood, old bad guy. Suyi shrugged and stepped away, and Suzier continued to be busy upgrade the beast summoner altar and train again with the help of building acceleration scrolls and unit training scrolls. Suzy can train units very quickly, of course. This is also temporary after all. Even in Suyi's hands, the building acceleration scroll and the unit training scroll are still scarce items. It won't take long. After resting overnight in the Dryant territory, the next day, Suyi bid farewell to Sukainer, and returned to the Starfield territory alone. As soon as he left the portal, Suyi heard noisy movements from the direction of the outer city. Suyi frowned, quickly summoned Blaze, and rode it towards the outer city. Sure enough, after arriving at the place, Andre was preparing the army to leave the city. Suyi quickly fell from the sky, stopped Andre and asked about the situation. What happened? Seeing that it was Suyi, Andre immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Lord, something is wrong. The gold mine was attacked by an army of undead. Suyi's face was stunned. The dead souls, these guys are really lingering, and they came again. Well, I'll go first. and you will come later, Suya ordered. After all, he patted Blazing on the back. The latter understood, his wings trembled, and in the howling wind, Blazing took Suya to the sky, flying towards the direction of the gold mine. On the way to the gold mine, Suya was secretly planning. In fact, he knew the reason for the appearance of the undead. The undead come from the plane of hell, which is a huge and quite powerful world. The necromancer inside is like a human lord. If he wants to become stronger, he must plunder resources everywhere. Therefore, the main city of the undead can be seen everywhere in this world. In the middle of the Lord Age, Suya occupied a gold mine, which will naturally arouse the hatred and covetousness of those guys. No, the attack has begun. Under Suya's order, Qilai used the fastest speed, directly speeding towards the direction of the gold mine. It only took less than 20 minutes. One person and one dragon arrive at a destination. He glanced at the plane at the end of his field of vision. Sure enough, an army of about 50,000 undead was moving towards the gold mine. Those who are at the forefront have even fought against Eve's dragon hunter and Suya's giant dragon station here. Chapter 278 Vulcan, you are a talent. One more subscription. Facts have proved that Suya is still very foresight. After occupying the gold mine, immediately then build territories on both sides of the gold mine and left a total of 100 dragons in the territory as a garrison. In this way, 100 dragons can guarantee the safety of the gold mine. Just like now, tens of thousands of undead troops are attacking, facing the giant dragon army head-on, but it is difficult to advance an inch. Suya descended from the sky riding Blazing, and quickly joined the battle. Once the fearless field opened, the strength of the struggling dragons doubled again. Feeling the infusion of powerful power, they became more heroic, and fought fiercely with tens of thousands of undead monsters on the city wall of Gold Mine Number 1 territory. Eve is leading hundreds of dragon hunters to attack the incoming undead from a distance in order to facilitate the distinction. The two territories built near the gold mine have serial numbers. The number 1 territory in the east belongs to Eve, and the number 2 territory in the west belongs to Andre. Under the super high burst output of Dragon Hunter, the undead army near the city wall died wave after wave, and were blasted to pieces by the arrows and scattered all over the ground. The giant dragons also hovered over the city wall, spitting out their breath. After all, thunderclap greeted the army of undead. A large number of undead monsters have died, and tens of thousands of troops are rapidly dying out. This scene fell into the eyes of several necromancers in the distance, making them horrified. After a brief discussion, they decided to summon the bone demon to fight. The 6-pointed star formation is completed, and the 6-headed demon appears on the battlefield. The body is as high as 100 meters, and the whole body is composed of forest white bones. Huge bone claws attack the dragons, and the tigers were furious. However, these giant dragons of Suya have already had experience in fighting against bone demons several times. At the moment, he is not afraid of the attack of this bone demon at all. Relying on super high speed, it walks around the bone demon's body. Various attacks were released and landed on the bone demon. The number of damage popping out from the top of the bone demon's head is as high as millions of health points are rapidly decreasing. Even their strong bodies as high as 100 meters, under the siege of the giant dragon, turned into bone scum, which kept falling down. The fierce battle continues. In order to solve the undead army as soon as possible, Suya led Qilai and several other 10th-level dragons to raid the necromancer's hexagram circle. In minutes, those guys in black cloaks pretending to be aggressive were killed. Necromancer burps and bone demons will no longer respawn infinitely after being defeated. It turned into a mountain of bones, standing on the battlefield. In another 10 minutes or so, the battle is over. Suya won a big victory here. He rode Blazing and landed on the city wall. Eve walked over quickly, with a serious expression on her face. This is already the 8th wave of attack you left. This gold mine is a hot potato. Hearing this, Suya frowned slightly. The 8th wave of attacks, which he did not expect. I originally thought that I wiped out the army of more than 200,000 monsters gathered here a few days ago, and I should be able to deter other monsters from approaching here. But now it's okay. We can strengthen the defense here. If they want to come. I will kill a wave, just to train our legion's level, Suya said. Seeing Suya so calm, Eve felt a lot more relaxed, but for some reason, she always had an ominous premonition that something big would happen here sooner or later. Suya didn't seem to have any worries about this, so he put his arms around Eve's slender waist. How is the gold mine going? The work is going well, Eve nodded, except for the monsters attacking every day. Everything else is going according to plan. The gold mine is making good progress. Do you want to go and have a look? Suya nodded, led the way. Suya has devoted a lot of energy to this gold mine, and has high expectations for it. Both Vulcan and Banners estimated that the daily output of gold coins in this gold mine should not be less than 50 million, and it can continue mining for more than 500 days. What kind of concept is this? The output of 50 million gold coins per day, continuous mining for 500 days, is 25 billion gold coins. The sum of all the gold coins that Suya has lived from the time of the Lord to the present may not exceed 5 billion. It is conceivable that after the construction of this gold mine, it will be of great help to Suya. It is not impossible to raise the level of the star domain to level 10. Under the leadership of Eve, the two descended from the city wall, and after walking through the dense jungle for a certain distance, they arrived at the valley designated by Vulcan. At this moment, the valley was full of people, and thousands of dwarves were working in full swing. You read that right, there are thousands of dwarves, probably around 3,000. Vulcan is also a genius. Since Suya captured the cruising tribe for him last time, he has rectified the armies of the two tribes plus the tree demon that Suya gave him. There is enough food, enough combat power, and enough resources to supply. After half a year, he frantically recruited nearby dwarf tribes. Today, he has also become the overlord among the dwarves, and he can mobilize more than 5,000 dwarves under his command. Now these 3,000 people were brought over by him to mine for Suya, and Vulcan himself, holding a loudspeaker, served as the commander-in-chief on a watchtower. Suya looked in the direction where the dwarves were working. A cave has been dug out there, with a diameter of more than 30 meters on the ground of the cave. 6 railway tracks have been paved. A large number of minicarts are driving on the rails. 3 rails go down, 3 rails come up. Transport truckloads of excavated earth and rocks to the plains outside. Over there, a mountain range has been piled up, not high, but very long, just extended a defense on both sides of the gold mine valley. Suya looked secretly surprised. Chapter 184. This Vulcan is really a talent. If you reuse it, you will definitely make a lot of contributions to yourself. Chapter 279. The first gold coin produced by the gold mine. Second watch subscription. For the next 20 days, Suya stayed in the star field while training the troops, while supervising the work of the gold mine. As Eve said before, almost every day, there will be monsters coming to find fault. There are undead and other intelligent races, but most of them are ordinary beasts. These guys don't know what the stimulus is. The regular mighty charge towards the gold mine. In desperation, Suya had no choice but to arrange the garrison all day to protect the safety of the gold mine defense line. As for the gold mine itself, under the hard work of more than 3,000 dwarves day and night, a huge mine has been dug out straight to the underground mines. According to Vulcan's report, gold ore should be mined within a few days. As for banners, the little old man was not idle either. Intermittently asked Suya for 200 million basic resources in the territory of gold mine number 1. A perfect gold coin workshop has been built, with a total of 50 production lines, which seem to be much more perfect than the production lines in the Kingagan Canyon ruins. According to Banner's report yesterday, these 50 production lines can be activated at any time to start producing gold coins. Suya was overjoyed about this on this day. Suya was training the giant dragon in the inner city of the star field. The dragon nest level has been raised to level 5. The information is as follows: dragon nest, level, 10th level. 5 units. 53 training template, giant dragon training cost. 200,000 gold coins. Training time. 2,400 hours. Upgrade requirements: wood, stone, iron ore, and gold ore 5 million each. The time is 480 hours. Level 5 dragon nest. Training peak is 100. Of course, that requires a lot of gold coins, and today, Suya doesn't have many gold coins left. Most of them were invested in the construction of gold mines. Just when Suya was thinking about where to get a wave of gold coins, the sound of flapping wings suddenly came from the sky above the star field. Suya looked up, and saw Eve riding a giant dragon flying towards this side. Falling from the sky, Eve couldn't wait to run up to Suya. Lord, good news, the dwarves have dug up the gold mine, and it is now being transported to the gold coin workshop. Suya was overjoyed when he heard this. What is really missing? What I lack most now is gold coins. If the gold mines are mined and put into the gold coin workshop, wouldn't that just fill up my financial crisis? Thinking of this, Suya waved his hand. Quick, I'll go and have a look. As he said that, he and Eve boarded the giant dragon and rushed towards the gold mine. 20 minutes later, the two arrived at the scene. Looking down on the earth from the sky, Suya saw it in the mine that expanded to a diameter of 50 meters. There are a total of 10 rails and dozens of mine cars, which are transporting gold ore. It was a big golden stone pulled by the mine cart. It drove to the number 1 territory not far away. There, in the open space in front of the Lord's Hall, a huge workshop has been built right now. Banners is busy in the workshop personally supervising that. Pieces of ore were sent into the furnace and melted into molten iron, then reprecipitate, filter, purify, and injection mold. A series of tools, Proceeding in an orderly manner, Suyi went straight to the end of the workshop, which is where the gold coins are issued. Waited for nearly 10 minutes. The first produced gold coin slowly approached Suyi under the consignment of the conveyor belt. The corners of Suyi's lips curled slightly. Even he couldn't hold back his excitement at this moment. Reach out and pinch the first gold coin, glittering and warm. The pattern on it is clearly visible. It is a high-quality finished product. Reaching out and flicking, the gold coin spun and flew up into the sky, was caught by Suyi, and thrown into the Lord's space. This is the first gold coin produced by Suyi in the true sense. It is of great significance. Keep it as a souvenir. With the output of the first gold coin, more and more gold coins began to appear, clinking, colliding with each other and falling into the box under the conveyor belt. Suyi looked over with joy. Just when Suyi was happy that the gold mine was officially put into operation in the Star Domain territory, the twin portal leading to the Tangxi Clearwater territory flashed with light. A figure walked out of it wearing a black leather jacket, dressed maturely and intellectually. This person, not Duan Qinglian, who else could it be? Today, the twin teleportation gate leading to Tangxi from Starfield territory has finally been constructed. This made Duan Qinglian, who was eager to see Suyi, overjoyed. The first time the twin portal was built, she crossed the portal and prepared to come to the Starfield to meet Suyi. At this moment, Duan Qinglian walked out from the portal, looking around curiously. Everything in front of her eyes was completely different from what she had imagined. First of all, it is the area and scale of the Star Domain. Looking around from Duan Qinglian's current position, there is no end in sight. In other words, it is blocked by buildings. There are a lot of buildings in the city, and they are surrounded by trees. Secondly, in Duan Qinglian's imagination, the Starfield should be very lively. After all, there must be thousands of job changers serving Suyi. But the current situation is there was no one in front of Duan Qinglian's eyes. I can't see any job changers at all. This is so strange. Could it be that I went to the wrong place? This is not the leader's territory. Duan Qinglian swallowed a mouthful of saliva, muttering inwardly. While muttering, she boldly walked forward, planning to find a job changer to ask about the situation, who knew that he had just walked to the open space in front of the Lord's Hall. Duan Qinglian was followed by more than a dozen giant dragons. Seeing these guys, Duan Qinglian was sure that she must have gone to the right place, but that's not what she should worry about the most right now. At this moment, Duan Qinglian should be most worried about how to deal with a giant dragon. A dozen or so giant dragons were newly trained, and they didn't know Duan Qinglian at all. So they immediately became hostile, standing up from the grass in front of the dragon's nest one by one. The huge dragon eyes looked towards Duan Qinglian. Duan Qinglian felt like crying. She stepped back and explained, "No, I'm one of my own. I'm your lord's woman." Chapter 280. Duan Qinglian, I am your second sister-in-law, but these newly trained giant dragons, except for Suyi, will not listen to anyone's orders. Taking steps. Approaching Duan Qinglian, the latter was extremely nervous and had no choice but to retreat quickly. The dragon followed closely behind, chasing after him. Duan Qinglian ran wildly, avoiding the attack. She even wondered if she should go through the portal and return to Tangxi. The giant dragons are all powerful. She can't beat them. Maybe they will be eaten. If she was really eaten by Suyi's troops, wouldn't Duan Qinglian become a joke? Just when Duan Qinglian was preparing to enter the twin portal and return to Tangxi in order to avoid the attack of the giant dragon in the portal leading to the tree demon's territory, a light flashed, and a figure came out from it. Looking closely, the person who came was Suyi. As soon as she came out, she saw Duan Qinglian, who was being chased by the giant dragon, and immediately frowned. "Who are you?" Suyi asked. She was sure she had never seen this woman before, and this is the Starfield territory, Suyi's base camp. How could a stranger appear? Suyi was puzzled and couldn't figure it out. As for Duan Qinglian, when she saw Suyi at this moment, it was as if she had grasped a life-saving straw, and shouted, "Little sister, I'm here to find Suyi. President Su, please help me to stop these giant dragons. Come down." Suyi heard the words and turned to look at the dragon. Sure enough, there are more than a dozen giant dragons striding towards this side. Seeing this scene, a bit of majesty flashed across Suyi's pretty face, and she angrily said, "Stop it all." A dozen giant dragons really stopped after being shouted one by one. They stood in place, opened their long eyes wide, and looked at this side. These days, Suyi heard that Suyi's gold mine was about to be completed, and she was full of curiosity and would go to the Starfield almost once a day. "So I happen to get to know these giant dragons, at least met a few times. The giant dragon has considerable wisdom and knows that Su Kainer and the Lord Suyi are very close people, therefore they will choose to obey Suyi's orders." Duan Qinglian saw that Suyi had knocked the dragon back. She was relieved, and she patted her heart with her hands. "Little sister, thank you so much. If you hadn't appeared, I really don't know how to deal with it. Suzier glanced at Duan Qinglian up and down, and a trace of alertness and doubts flashed in her eyes. Who the hell are you? Why have I never seen you? How did you come here? And why do you call my brother the leader? Suzier asked a series of questions, which made Duan Qinglian feel embarrassed immediately after she came back to her senses. She quickly explained, the sister of the leader of the Soviet Union, Alice, is my own. I am Duan Qinglian, the lord of the Clearwater territory, and I am currently a member of the alliance leader of the Soviet Union. You can also call me sister-in-law. As soon as these words came out, Su Kainer changed. Sister-in-law, you and brother Suzy clicked her tongue, but Duan Qinglian seemed to be proud of it. Did he nodded? That's right, it was the last time the president of the Soviet Union went to Tanxi. Duan Qinglian did not say the latter words, but Su Ziran already understood. Suddenly her teeth itched with anger. She suddenly recalled the few days when Su had just returned from Tanxi. She had asked him some questions. Chapter 185. Ask him if he, behind Eve's back, and flirted with other girls. Su didn't answer directly, but typed a haha, there's so much emotion. Depend on. Su Kainer cursed it secretly. Duan Qinglian was stunned. What's the matter? Is there any problem, girl? Su Kainer shook her head, grabbed Duan Qinglian. Go. I will take you to find my brother now. After all, Su Kainer dragged her onto the back of a giant dragon. Regardless of whether Duan Qinglian agreed or not, the giant dragon took off, facing the strong wind, and flew towards the direction of the gold mine. Duan Qinglian sat on the back of the giant dragon, looking back at the gradually receding star field. Her heart was shocked. Such a large scale territory really deserves to be the leader. Flying all the way. After flying for more than 20 minutes, the two arrived at their destination. Duan Qinglian looked down at the ground, and soon saw the signs of the gold mine. She was shocked and said, this is. Suzier ordered the dragon to fall from the sky, and said, this is the gold mine occupied by my brother, and he is right below. Gold mine. Duan Qinglian swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This is the second gold mine. It's too late to be surprised. The dragon has already fallen from the sky and landed on the open space of the gold mine's number 1 territory. Su Kainer took Duan Qinglian and jumped off the dragon's back, then went straight to the gold coin workshop. Finally here, I met Suyi, who was discussing things with Eve. Brother, from a long distance away, Su Kainer shouted. Suyi's movements froze, and he and Eve turned their heads to look behind them. With this look, Suzier and Duan Qinglian can be seen completely. Banners on the side also saw Duan Qinglian's figure. Knowing the inside story, he showed a smirk. There's a good show to watch. The corners of Suyi's eyes twitched, and he quickly led Eve over, looking at Duan Qinglian. Why are you here? Duan Qinglian saw that it was indeed Suyi standing in front of her, and she breathed a sigh of relief. While looking around curiously, she said, of course I came to look for you. The twin portal was built today. I came after thinking about it. As soon as the words fell, before Suyi could reply, Eve said, This is the second sister-in-law. Suzier doesn't think too much about things. Why is Eve stunned? Second sister-in-law. But soon, her expression returned to normal, and she stretched out her right hand to Duan Qinglian. You are Qinglian. I heard the leader mentioned you. Now it was Suzier's turn to be confused. Logically speaking, shouldn't Eve be jealous at this time, and then give Suyi a face? But she didn't. What is the situation in Suyi? It was already expected. Duan Qinglian had told Eve about Duan Qinglian's existence a few days before he returned to Starfield from Tanxi. Eve wasn't angry about this. Perhaps this has something to do with some traditional concepts of the elves. Elven men can find multiple spouses. Suyi has many women. Can't you accept it? It's completely acceptable. Okay, chapter 281. Is my thinking too backward? One more subscription. Suzier was extremely confused, and dragged Eve to the side. No, you are not sad at all. And you are not afraid that someone will compete with you? Eve shook her head when she heard this. Why should I be sad? This is a good thing. If more people assist the Lord will become stronger. Just kidding. When Suyi went to the north last time, she married Yafai from the Red Rose territory. Did she also see Eve's reaction? Sukainer swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and she suddenly didn't understand thoughts of these married ladies. Could it be that my own thinking is too backward? After she said something, Suyi had already walked over and grabbed Suzier and Eve's wrists. What are you muttering here? Let's go. What's the matter? Let's talk about the star domain. After finishing speaking, Suyi whistled. Blazing, who was confronting Dragon Hunter not far away, flew over. Ahem. Let me mention that dragon hunters and giant dragons are inherently hostile. It's just that because of Eve and Suyi's constraints, the two types of arms can coexist peacefully. But on weekdays, when no one cares, The naughty and warlike Zhili often provokes the dragon hunters, and every time, it will be full of arrows and run back, of course. With a blazing current attribute, the attack of the dragon hunter is no different from scratching it. The two parties were just joking around, and Suyi and Eve didn't say anything. The four of them rode blazing and returned to the star field. All the way finally sat down in the Lord's Hall of the Star Domain. At the same time, Suyi formally introduced Duan Qinglian's identity to Suzir and Eve under the Sky Alliance. Duan Qinglian, the Lord of the Clearwater Territory, is also his wife. Regarding this, Eve didn't change her expression, but Su Kainer was a little jealous. She felt that after Suyi had Duan Qinglian, his concern for her would decrease again. This is so difficult. She has to let herself be the one who thought of this. Suzir quickly choked her own thoughts. She was afraid that if she continued to think about it, she would commit a crime then. Suyi asked Duan Qinglian something related to Tangxi. After all, it has been more than a month since I came back from there. I don't know whether Fang Yun has consolidated his dominance, and whether the city defense of Qingyun Canyon is perfect enough. Duan Qinglian, as a member of the Sky Alliance, naturally wants to work for Suyi. Answer Suyi's questions truthfully. Since Suyi returned from Tangxi, Fang Yun really lived up to his mission, relying on the resources left by Suyi to develop vigorously. At present, it has gradually occupied 2/3 of Tangxi. The rest are more difficult lords, whether to include it or to do something else. It's a long-term plan. As for the gold mine in the secret territory of Qingyun Canyon, Duan Qinglian said that there is a line of defense laid by Suyi himself, plus the gold mine's financial supply make Qingyun Canyon become as safe as an iron barrel. Unless an army of more than 100,000 invades suddenly, there should be no need to worry about security. Hearing these words, Suyi was relieved a lot. This is very good. When you go back, tell Fang Yun to speed up the progress. No matter what, we must ensure the safety of Qingyun Canyon. Duan Qinglian nodded heavily. Understood. After all, Duan Qinglian also submitted a transaction application to Suyi. She came this time not only to see Suyi, she also had a mission that is offering Suyi as the leader of the Sky Alliance, and as the younger brothers of the Sky Alliance. It is necessary for them to make offerings. Secondly, no matter whether it's Fang Yun or Duan Qinglian, with the current achievements, more than 70% of the credit is due to Suyi. It is especially necessary to know the kindness and report. This is the Cloud Territory. The resources provided by the major subordinate territories below the Clearwater Territory total 300 million. In addition, there are gold mines in the secret territory of Qingyun Canyon. We left 700 million and the remaining 8 billion, all to the Lord. Duan Qinglian reported. In this regard, Suyi did not refuse, and accepted all the orders. Just kidding, only a fool would not want the resource gold coins delivered to your door. Besides, these are what he deserves. After accepting the transaction application, the resource reserves of the Starfield territory will be greatly increased, skyrocketing. The specific information is as follows: Lord's Hall, Lord, Suyi level 6 Sky Alliance, Cloud Territory, Red Rose Territory, Clearwater Territory, Galaxy Territory, Dryad Territory, Underlying Territory, Warhammer Tribal Building. 21 Arms, Giant Dragon, Tier 10, Centaur, 4th Tier 4, Blade Spider, 4th Tier 4, Goblin, 1st Tier, Scarlet Armored Fire Ant, 4th Tier 4, Slinger Giant, 7th Tier, Undead Knight, 7th Tier, Hunter Dragon Hunter, 8th level, population 21 Timber, 12 billion stone mine, 11 billion iron ore, 10 billion gold coins, 11 billion food, 250,000 currency, 500,000 upgrade needs. Timber, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins are 5 million each, and 1.1 billion gold coins are accounted for after these days of consumption of other timber, quarry, and iron ore. They have been replenished back to more than 1 billion. With these resources, Suyi should be able to build a more complete defense line near the gold mine. After handing over the resources, the next few people began to chat about some private matters. Duan Qinglian is very clear about her current identity and her future identity, so it is very necessary to have a good relationship with Suzir and Eve. Fortunately, both of them are quite talkative. Although Su Kainer tasted delicious, she didn't say anything when she saw the real owner Eve. So she had to forget about the delicious food in her mind. As for Eve, she accepted Duan Qinglian's existence before she met Duan Qinglian, so naturally she won't say anything now. The three women chatted happily, which made Suyi feel relieved. To be honest, he was really afraid that these people would be jealous and cause some conflicts. I'm already busy enough with how to develop things, but I have to deal with these annoying things when I get home. Wouldn't it be a pain to live? Fortunately, these things didn't happen. and everyone is happy. Taking advantage of the time when the three of them were chatting, Suyu got up and left the Lord's Hall, heading straight for the Dragon's Nest. Chapter 282, Building a perfect line of defense and protecting the gold mine. Second update for subscription. Ask for flowers, ask for tickets, ask for everything. A new wave of 1 billion gold coins has arrived. It's time for a riot. First up is the Dragon Level 5 Dragon Nest. Training peak is 100. Now there are 535 dragons in total. There are still 465 dragons left before the training peak. Without further ado, let's get started. It costs gold coins 9.300 million. Trained 465 dragons successfully. The system's notification tone fell, Suyu's gold coin swished, and bottomed out again. There are 2 billion left. Speechless, very speechless. The dragon is powerful, but it is also a money burner, not to mention anything else. Just take 1,000 giant dragons as an example, that's 2 billion gold coins. This doesn't include the upgrade fee for the Dragon Nest. Chapter 186. For example, the current level 5 Dragon Nest needs to spend 500 million basic resources to upgrade to level 6 Dragon Nest. It's a money grab. But overall, it's worth it. Most of Suyu's existing foundations were laid down by giant dragons. With more dragons, Suyu can lay down more foundations. There are still 200 million gold coins left. Suyu decided not to spend them carelessly, and save them for the defense line of the gold mine. Compared to dragon training, that side is just as important. Time flies. It is already 2 days later. Duan Qinglian bid farewell after staying in the star field for 2 days. After all, she is the lord of the Clearwater territory, and the entire Clearwater territory, as well as dozens and hundreds of subordinate territories in the Clearwater territory, still need her orders. 2 days away is already the limit. If I don't go back, I'm afraid there will be trouble in front of the twin portal. Duan Qinglian and Suyu embraced and bid farewell. Then I'm leaving now, you must remember to miss me. Duan Qinglian leaned close to Suyu's ear and said softly. Suyu nodded when she heard the words, and patted Duan Qinglian on the back. Don't worry, there is a twin portal, and it's not easy to see you. Duan Qinglian thought about it for a while, and reluctantly let go. Suyu walked towards the portal, stepping back and forth. Finally stepped into the portal and disappeared. As soon as Duan Qinglian left, Suyu turned around and walked towards the Dragon's Nest, and greeted Eve along the way. Let's go. It's time to stabilize the defense line of the gold mine. The corners of Eve's eyes twitched, and she followed Sufa. As soon as he walks away, you are busy with business, you are too cruel. Suyu heard this, turned her head and glanced at Eve, and said calmly, before I am strong, I can't be troubled by the affection of my children. When Eve heard this, her expression changed, and her feelings towards Suyu changed again. This guy's really domineering. Immediately following Suyu's pace, the two rode on Chilai and headed straight for the gold mine. After arriving at the place, both of them were speechless. Sure enough, the gold mine was attacked again. This time the scale is larger than the previous ones. The number of monsters gathered has exceeded 100,000. However, after more than a month of continuous development, the territorial defense line near the gold mine has begun to take shape. In addition, Suyu successively put down 400 giant dragons here as a garrison. Even 100,000 monsters must be stopped outside. Of course, this is also related to the fact that only ordinary monsters attack the defense line now. If it is an elite monster of a high intelligence race, it may pose a considerable threat falling from the sky. Without saying a word, the two joined the battle directly. Suyu will not let go of such a good opportunity. With experience value riding blazing, flying over the heads of the monster camp, Eve took out a dragon hunting bow and released waves of arrows in the group of monsters below. Countless critical strike damage rose, but all monsters whose level is lower than the 6th level are almost instantly killed, and this is the horror of the super high output of Dragon Hunter. Kill all the way, cooperate with other giant dragons, go straight to the yellow dragon, and disrupt the hail of the monster camp. The heavy crossbows and cannons that were specially modified by Banner on the city wall all made explosive sounds. Blast one after another crossbow bolts and shells into the monster camp. Once a big hole is fried, it is very cool. 3 hours later, the battle was drawing to a close. Only less than 10,000 monsters were beaten, and seeing the situation was not good, they turned around and fled one after another. Seeing this, Suyu ordered the pursuit without saying a word. I thought to myself, don't you guys like to come? Since you are here, then don't leave. Dragon Gundam, with a speed of 500, it can be called the top, flapping its wings, and launching a charge from the air. It doesn't take long to catch up to the fleeing monster, and then launch a fierce attack. Leave the remnants of the defeated soldiers who fled, one by one after the battle. Suyi ordered the dragon hunters to enter the battlefield to pick up the spoils, and he himself began to strengthen the defense line. The first is the level of the city wall, which must keep up. It cost 400 million resources to raise the level of the city wall from level 5 to level 6. Level 6 city wall, durability up to 10 million. Even if you release a 7th tier soldier to keep attacking the city wall, it will take dozens of minutes to break through the city wall. It's just that the 6th level city wall costs a lot of money, and with Suyi's current resources, it is simply not enough to enclose the entire gold mine. At most, it is only built in key locations such as gold mine number 1 territory and gold mine number 2 territory 2. In addition, for the sake of safety, he also recruited some nearby lords who came to seek refuge. Let them build territories around the gold mines to forge defenses. These lords all sincerely took refuge in Suyi after seeing Suyi's vigorous development. There are nearly 100 of them in total, and Suyi selected 30 of them. The 30 looks more pleasing to the eye, and the ones with no dissatisfaction are taken as subordinate territories. The overlord contract was signed. Then let these lords build territories around the gold mines. Each territory distributed 5 million resources as startup funds for their development. Today, the defense line formed by those territories has begun to take shape. Like the territory near Tangsi-Kingigan Canyon, a perfect encirclement circle is formed near the gold mine to protect the entire gold mine. Next, as long as Suyi slowly invests in resources and urges them to develop, I believe that the safety of the gold mine will be completely guaranteed in the near future, and then Suyi can go to other things. Chapter 283 Fairy Dragon asking for flowers, asking for tickets, asking for everything. In addition, today is the 4th day that the gold coin workshop officially put into production in the number 1 territory of the gold mine. As predicted by banners before, the daily output of this workshop is 50 million gold coins. It is comparable to the one in Tangsi-Kingigan Canyon Secret Realm. 50 million gold coins are injected every day, plus the 10 level 10 resource points in the Orange Secret Territory, and the hundreds of subordinate territories in the Tangsi Territory, and finally those purple and blue secret realms occupied by Suyi. There are resources produced. Suyi's daily income from gold coin resources is close to 100 million. 100 million a day is simply flattering. It is also against this background that the Starfield realm has truly entered a stage of rapid development. As the Starfield grew day and night, Suyi's fame gradually spread throughout the entire Hanan city, as well as the surrounding cities of Hanan. Almost all the lords respect Suyi at a respectful distance. The previous, provocative incident never happened again. This saved Suyi a lot of time. Otherwise, it would be annoying to deal with some low-level territories every few days. On this day, Suyi returned to the Starfield. Check out the dragon near the dragon lair. Up to now, more than 400 giant dragons have all been trained. Suyi now has 1,000 giant dragons in his hands. Although the number is small, but the strength is absolutely arrogant. If it is a unit with a rank below the 7th rank, Suyi's 1,000 dragons are enough to fight against more than 100,000. This ratio is still small, and there are reasons for it. That's because there are too many newly trained giant dragons. Their level is only 1 level, and the primary attributes are stronger than low-level arms, but they are also limited. As long as you find a way to increase the level of the dragon, the ratio of 1,000 to 100,000 will increase accordingly. So you can even predict this way. As long as all the 1,000 dragons are upgraded to the full 10th level, then cooperate with your own on-the-spot command. It is not a problem to fight against an army of 250,000 low-level arms. However, the upgrade of the dragon is a long way to go. Need to accumulate experience slowly, need a lot of time. Do not rush. Suyi has always believed that only the giant dragons that grow up in battles will become stronger. This time, more than 400 giant dragons were trained continuously, but a new breed of giant dragons appeared. The whole body is pink, and every scale on the huge body is shining with a faint light consumption. Slender and very beautiful. The specific information is as follows: Fairy Dragon, grade, 10th grade level. 1 HP. 200,000 attack power. 10 defense power. 10 speed. 50 skill, mind control. Fairy Dragon has extremely strong spiritual power, which can be released in battle, can confuse the enemy to achieve the effect of mind control. The controlled time is proportional to the level gap between the Fairy Dragon and the enemy. The controlled enemy will obey all the orders of the Fairy Dragon during the period of being controlled. Fairy Dust. The Fairy Dragon will secrete some dust on the dragon scales during the battle, which will be sprinkled within minutes. Enemies who inhale the dust will be affected by hallucinogenic effects. The whole body attribute will be reduced by 30%, and they will not be able to use skills to attack. Burst Fairy Ball. Ning gather strength, create a 1 magic ball, control the magic ball to fly to the designated position, and actively control the explosion. After the fairy ball bursts, It will cause an explosion range with a diameter of 30 meters. All enemies within this range will be hit by a huge amount harm. Fairy holy light. Fairy dragons have their own sacred attributes, and the colorful light they release has a healing effect, which can heal the injuries of injured allies. Shrouded in colorful light. Description: the most beautiful branch of the dragon family. The individuals are all female, with strong control in magic damage, and has a fatal attraction to all male dragons. When the fairy dragon was first trained, Suyu was not in the star field. Therefore, the giant dragons in the star domain are not restricted by him because the fairy dragon can revive the hearts of the male giant dragons. When Suyu came back, he saw that all the male giant dragons were showing favor to the fairy dragon. The scene was once very heated. Suyu was speechless in the end. We had to take the trained more than 30 fairy dragons to a certain open space in the outer city alone. No way. Most of the dragons trained by Suyu are male and the giant dragon is obsessive. Now that a large number of fairy dragons are added to the giant dragon team, if Suyu doesn't stop it, there will be troubles when the time comes to do bad things in broad daylight. It will be bad in the end. He gave the male giant dragons a death order, absolutely not to harass the fairy dragons. Chapter 187. Then things settled down. After patrolling around the dragon's nest, Suyu returned to the Lord's Hall sitting on his throne, rubbing his temples gently, calculating the time. The 2-month agreement between him and Yafei is almost here. Suyu decided to settle all the affairs of the Starfield territory in just 1 or 2 days, and then head to the north, help Yafei stabilize the overall situation. Thinking of this, Suyu stood up and left the Starfield. There are 3 things that make him worry about leaving this time. 3. First, gold mines. Suyu's top priority at this stage needs to be well protected, so Suyu decided to send 500 giant dragons there. You read that right. 500 heads. This is half of the total amount of Suyu dragons sent to guard a gold mine to prevent other territories or monsters from invading. Second, the super resource point of the Orange Secret Realm is the Lords grow stronger day by day. The units that Suyu placed in the resource point before are no longer enough to ensure the safety of the resource point. There are a total of 30 level 30 source points, and Suyu sent 100 giant dragons to them, evenly distributed within each resource point with the addition of 3 giant dragons. I believe that the resource points will be worry-free. Finally, there is the safety of the Star Domain territory, Dryad territory, and Galaxy territory. Suyu redistributed, leaving 200 giant dragons evenly distribute the garrison of these three territories. In the end, there were 100 giant dragons left, which were Suyu's reserve army that was going to be stored in the unit ring and brought to the north, and they were also the strongest group of giant dragons. Grade 10 Chapter 284, Yafei's Dilemma. In addition, Suyu also handed over the command of the dragon to Eve, Su Kainer and Lin Yangxi respectively. 3. As a result, a total of 70 giant dragons remained near the Star Domain. If there is a problem in any territory, it can be quickly supported in a short time. It is worth mentioning that, in order to facilitate the transfer of troops in the territory of the Dryad, Suzu obtained enough currency by selling the Dryad, and now she has purchased a unit ring. In this way, it is no longer nonsense to transfer troops back from the Tree Demon territory, or transfer troops to the past. It has been 2 days since these things were arranged. Suyu bid farewell, saying goodbye to Eve and Lin Yangxi in Goldmine No. 1 territory. After I leave, you have to support each other. I don't allow any mistakes in any place, understand? Eve nodded. She has been with Suyu for so long, she has gotten used to this man's way of doing things. Now that she has become Suyu's woman, she has to share the pressure for Suyu. Don't worry. We will protect this place, but you, after you go out, be careful in everything, Eve exhorted softly. Suyu, okay, I'm leaving. After finishing speaking, he stepped in the fiery back. Lin Yangxi and Eve waved at him. Suyu nodded slightly, and with an order, he soared into the sky and flew towards the north. The speed was very fast, and within a short while the gold mine area turned into a small dot in Suyu's field of vision. It takes more than 3 days to travel from the star field to the north. This is still a situation where there is no delay, and the journey is smooth. However, it is impossible to think about it. No way. The time is now approaching the middle of the Lord era. Almost all the forces that should be developed have already appeared. Just like now, Suyu is flying through the air on blazing. Looking down at the ground, you can see a lot of human territories, a lot of wandering monsters, and armies going out to level up or siege cities at the same time. You can also see a lot of monsters in the main city. The one I have seen the most is the main city of the undead located on the ground. There are large and small scales, which pose a great threat to nearby human territories. In addition to the undead, there are other intelligent races. In the Age of Lords, there is such an unwritten rule: only intelligent races will occupy the territory, such as humans, goblins, undead, liches, trolls and so on that can become lords. They can separate one side, and they can also train other races or monsters to become their own army. Normal monsters don't work, such as ordinary insect monsters, beast monsters, and even monsters they gather together, but do not claim to be territorial. Just a nest now. Suyi rode blazing from the sky, and all he saw were these things: monster lair, territory of various intelligent races. There are also alliances for enclosure development and so on. A map for world hegemony is slowly taking shape. Of course, Suyi didn't take the initiative to find trouble with these races, but just rode blazing on his way. But even so, there are still troubles to find the door. Seeing Suyi alone, there was a human lord who wanted to rob. There are also intelligent races who covet Suyi dragon, but without exception, they all became souls of the dead under the breath of the blazing dragon. Under the delay of these obstacles, when Suyi arrived in the north, it was already 5 days later. After a short rest for a few hours, and after identifying the direction, Suyi continued to ride on, blazing straight to the land of red roses. But when Suyi was unhurriedly rushing towards the territory of Red Rose, the territory of Red Rose is facing a catastrophe. More than 100,000 human alliance troops are attacking the territory of Red Rose in the valley full of roses. The mountains and plains are full of arms and job changers. The strong scent of roses that filled the entire ancient world was replaced by the pungent smell of burning and gunpowder smoke. Red Rose territory headquarters. The city wall has been breached. The Alliance army roared through the hole in the wall and entered the city. Start a fight with the army in the territory of the Red Rose. On the city wall, Yafai, Hozilking, Lingayu and other executives of the Red Rose territory gathered together, brandishing their weapons, frantically resisting the enemy's invasion. How many troops do we have left? Yafai gritted her silver teeth and asked. At this moment, she was in a state of distress. Her pretty face was covered with stains, and the corners of her lips overflowed with bright red blood. Hozilking glanced around. Her eye circles were red. She swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Sister Faye, there is only 1/10, less than 10% left. Hearing this, Yafai trembled and nearly fell to the ground. Her pretty face turned pale for a while, and her beautiful eyes were full of resentment. Do you really want me to hand this thing over? Yafai murmured. Hearing this, Lingayu stabbed a professional changer rushing over with a single shot, and said in a deep voice, Yafai, please don't do this. Who are Di Changshan and Lu Yao? Don't you know? Even if we hand over the things, they will definitely not let us go. A trace of hesitation flashed across Yafai's face, and he was even more troubled in his heart. It happened like this. 3 days ago in the north, near the Dahan mountain where the Red Rose territory is located, a large site has been refreshed. Of course, Yafai will not let go of such a good thing. Dang even took the elite of the Red Rose territory to explore the ruins. They also went to Di Changshan's God City territory and Lu Yao's Glory territory. These two territories are the two overlords in Dahan Mountain. Yafai's Red Rose territory can only rank third. 3 major factions and hundreds of small territories entered the ruins to explore, like the Tangxi ruins that Suya participated in. The ruins are extremely dangerous, and there are also many treasures. The lords who entered it used all means to find various treasures and resources. Yafai was lucky, successfully preempted all the lords, and was the first to find the center of the ruins. Here, she obtained many treasures. The most precious of them all, it is the transmission shaft of the stage. According to the data, using the scroll you can teleport into the Flower Fairy secret realm. As long as you complete the secret mission, you can get the 8th level arms and the Flower Fairy template. Chapter 285. Let me see who dares to move. Second, more for subscription, begging for flowers, begging for tickets, begging for everything. The news that Yafai got the certificate from Huaxianzi's secret realm unfortunately spread there when Di Changshan and Lu Yao led their troops into the center of the ruins. When the two heard it, it was worth it. Flower Fairy is an 8th tier unit, and in their territory, the most advanced arms are only at the 7th rank. If Yafai successfully acquired the Huaxianzi unit, wouldn't the strength of her Red Rose territory surpass Di Changshan and Lu Yao? I want to snatch the Flower Fairy secret realm certificate from Yafai. Chapter 188. At that time, the three forces fought in the center of the ruins. Yafai led his troops to resist desperately. After paying a huge price, only then did she escape from the ruins with her own people. Of the more than 6,000 elites they brought, there are only less than 3,000 left, which can be said to be a heavy loss. When Di Changshan and Lu Yao saw that Yafai escaped successfully, they couldn't swallow their breath, so they planned this battle 2 days after returning to their respective territories. That's right, it was 2 days later, and now it's the 3rd day. In other words, Di Changshan and Lu Yao's coalition forces have been attacking the city for more than 10 hours. Yafai is also a bloody person. Facing the coalition forces of the two overlords, he did not back down. Instead, He ordered to fight with his life. However, the strength of the Red Rose territory is really not good, and when it was in the ruins, it had already suffered heavy losses. If it weren't for the tenacious will and the terrain outside the Red Rose territory, the Red Rose territory would have been defeated long ago. But even if he persisted until now, Yafai was at the end of his battle. I didn't have any energy left. Of the tens of thousands of troops in the Red Rose territory, only 1/10 or 10% of them were beaten. The only thing left, those who stick to it, that is, the elite among the elite in the Red Rose territory. Those who have followed Yafai to kill the enemy since the time of the Lord. On the outskirts of the Red Rose Valley, a certain hill here is heavily guarded in the tent surrounded by heavy soldiers. A young man with a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks sat face to face with a fat middle-aged man while eating the spiritual fruit. He scanned the battlefield ahead very happy. These two people are Di Changshan and Lu Yao, brother Lu. As expected, the Rose territory was defeated after all, and we will soon be able to get what we want. Di Changshan said that sharp-nosed monkey's gills look wretched no matter how you look at it, but he has become the lord of the territory of the gods. It has to be said that good luck tricks people. Lu Yao, who was sitting across from him, smiled, showing yellow teeth. Xiao, I said earlier that Yafai couldn't hold on for a day, and now the war has only started for 12 hours, and her people are almost wiped out, gone. Di Changshan smiled all over his face, and while toasting to Lu Yao, he said, yes, but the leaders of the Red Rose territory are all beautiful women. It would be a pity if they were killed like this. Why don't they be killed, capture it alive and take it back to be Mrs. Yeshao? When Lu Yao heard this, he thought of Yafai's perfect figure with bumps in his mind, and swallowed involuntarily. Catch it alive, order it quickly, let the front-line troops do it lightly, no matter in what era. What great power brings is always the desire for profit and lust. The job changers in the Red Rose territory are all women. As the leader, Yafei, Hoziking and others are the best among beauties. Di Changshan had been following them for a long time. However, even though the territory of God's capital is stronger than the territory of Red Rose, if you want to defeat it, you need to pay a big price this time. I finally had the opportunity to cooperate with Lu Yao to destroy the territory of Red Rose together. How could such a beauty like Yafai be let go? Immediately, the two ordered one after another, ordering the job changers and troops on the front line to capture Yafai, Hoziking and others alive. With this order, the fierce battle on the front line instantly weakened a bit. A large group of job changers yelled forward, waved their weapons, and yelled at Yafai and the others, listen all of you, our Lord has given an order, as long as you surrender obediently, we don't have to kill you. That's right, quickly follow us to see the Lord, and you can save yourself a whole lot of pain. Surrender quickly, surrender quickly. The yelling and yelling around became more and more intense. It made the faces of Yafai and others who were trapped in the middle turn pale. What will happen if you surrender and go to see the Lord? As long as you are a normal person, you can figure it out. Lingai is a loyal character. Facing the clamor of the job changers, she angrily said, the people in the Red Rose territory, we must kill them. Either die in battle, it is absolutely impossible to surrender. And it is absolutely impossible to go with you to see some bullshit lord. This sentence resonated with the job changers in the Red Rose territory. They echoed Lingayu's words, that's right, even if we die, we will never go with you, sisters. If it doesn't work, we will commit suicide. Anyway, we can't let Lu Yao and Di Changshan succeed. The job changers around heard the words, looked at each other in blank dismay, and thought it was funny. The leading one, named Lin Hu, is a lord under the command of Di Changshan and Shendu, and his strength is not weak. This time he attacked the territory of Red Rose. He was the striker at this moment. Hearing what Lingayu and the others said, Lin Hu sneered, since you are unwilling to take the initiative to go with us, then don't blame us for being rude. Let's all go together, catch the living ones, and tie them up and present them to the Lord. As soon as the voice fell, the job changers around all laughed ferociously, holding up their weapons, and surrounded Yafai and the others. It looked very much like a wolf surrounding a flock of sheep. Just at this critical moment, over the battlefield, in the darkened sky, a huge black shadow flashed across. Immediately afterwards, a strong wind hit, blowing the job changers on the city wall to the side. A cold, murderous voice sounded above the heads of the job changers, I'll see who dares to touch a hair on them. Chapter 286. She is my woman. As soon as the voice came out, Lin Hu, Yafai, Hoziking, Lingayu and all the job changers in the field were stunned. Kiki looked up towards the sky. All I could see was a huge figure floating in the dark sky that was a giant dragon. Seeing it was a giant dragon, Yafai, Hoziking, and Lingayu were startled for a moment, followed by ecstasy. 2 months ago, they met a lord who could summon dragons. Now, the Red Rose territory is one of the allies under that lord. The lord is very strong, named Suyi. It seems to be the former one, Yafai felt the most. Only she knew about the February appointment with Suyi. I thought it was just a joke by Suyi, but unexpectedly, Suyi really came. Hurrah! The wind was strong, and the giant dragon above the city wall crashed down. Then a person jumped off the dragon's back wearing a silver battle armor and holding a long sword glowing with light. It was Suyi. Seeing that the person who came was indeed Suyi, Yafai's eyes turned red immediately, and drops of crystal clear tears came out of his eyes. Suyi took a few steps forward, came to Yafai's body, and wiped away the latter's tears. Are you okay? With mixed feelings in Yafai's heart, she threw herself into Suyi's arms, crying. Ho Zilking, Ling Gayu and other job transferees in the Red Rose territory behind were stunned while looking at each other in blank dismay. I was very happy in my heart. Yafai and Suyi have an unusual relationship, and they all knew about it 2 months ago, the day after Suyi left. Now, Suyi is back. They should also be saved. Seeing the always strong Yafai crying, Suyi was a little speechless and coughed lightly. Then what? Wait a minute, why don't you cry again? So many people are watching. Yafai twitched her tall Kyong nose a few times, punched Suyi lightly, and left Suyi's embrace. This scene fell into the eyes of Lin Hu and the others. Lin Hu gritted his teeth. It was agreed that Yafai would be dedicated to Di Changshan, but now Yafai is cuddling with other men. If it reaches Di Changshan's ears, I have to be scolded. Thinking of this, Lin Hu was furious, and yelled at Suyi, "Boy, we are the territory of Dahanshan God capital and the Glory territory, and Yafai is a woman who is going to be dedicated to her lord, but you hug her in front of everyone. Do you want to find fault?" Hearing this, Suyi turned around, and stretched out her hand to embrace Yafai's slender waist provocatively, looking straight into Lin Hu's eyes. "I hug my woman, do I still need you to point it out? Also, did you say that you want to dedicate my woman to your lord because you think you have lived too long?" Suyi's voice was very flat, but with a murderous intent. For a moment, Lin Hu felt a chill run down his back. As for Yafai, she let Suyi embrace her. Her face was a little shy, but her heart was touched. Suyi actually called herself his woman in front of so many people. This feeling is really strange. Lin Hu is also a lord after all. He hesitated for a moment before coming back to his senses. "Big words. Since you are so arrogant, then we have no choice but to kill you and chop off your head." Before Lin Hu finished speaking, he suddenly then I felt a wave of fiery air descending from the sky. In the next second, severe pain hit. In the next second, he was unconscious. The body was scorched into coke and scattered with a bang. Even the dozen or so job transferees behind him from the territory of the gods are all like this. That's right, the blazing shot. It's not stupid, on the contrary, it's smart. Every dragon has its own pride. Lin Hu threatened Suyi in public. Isn't that slapping his fiery dragon face? How can this be tolerated? So it accidentally opened its mouth, spewed out a mouthful of dragon's breath, and hot Lin Hu. This scene fell into the eyes of the job changers in the God City territory and the Glory territory, making their eyes tear open. What the hell is this? It was an instant kill with one move, but soon, these job changers came back to their senses. They raised their weapons one after another, summoned their troops, and prepared to attack. "Let's go together. This man has only one unit. We focused our fire on him in seconds." I don't know who yelled. One stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and everyone became active immediately. They all prepared to launch a fierce attack on Suyi. Seeing this, Suyi whistled fiercely, knowing the dragon's mouth opened, and the dragon's breath, which was more than 20 meters long, swept across. In minutes, the 70 or 80 job changers in the area were burned into coke. Chapter 189. At the same time, Suyi opened his arm ring. Why do people always say that I only have one arm? While speaking, the sky above Suyi's head, one after another, giant dragons flew out from the portal. 10, 20, 50, 100. A total of 100 giant dragons appeared above the heads of the crowd, with huge wings waving, covering the sky and the sun. Now, all the gods in the job-changing arms of the Glory territory panicked. The job-changer was fine, but he was frightened and kept swallowing his saliva, and those arms, especially the low-level arms, felt the chilling coercion falling from the sky. He just fell to the ground, not daring to move. Suyi glanced at the job changers, who were almost terrified, snapped his fingers, and ordered softly, "Kill them all, don't save me." Face. As soon as the words fell, a total of 100 giant dragons scattered in all directions and began to attack fiercely. Everything happened too fast, and most of the job changers and units were attacked by giant dragons before they could react. The life value was emptied, fell to the ground in an instant. and turned into corpses in various states. There are pitch-black charcoal, lifelike ice sculptures, and electric shocks where all the hairs on the body stand upside down, and the body becomes shriveled, the mummified Suyi whose blood has been drained, and the appearance of the giant dragon, in just a few minutes, turning the tide of the entire battlefield. The remaining members of the Red Rose territory survived. In his heart, he harbored resentment towards the capital of God in the territory of glory without saying a word. He also joined the battle, and the scene that happened on the city wall spanned thousands of meters and fell into the eyes of Di Changshan and Lu Yao. The two frowned, and ran out of the tent together, looking in the direction of Red Rose's territory with puzzled faces. Fuck, what happened? Chapter 287 Reinforcements. Only one. As soon as the words fell, a job changer stumbled over in front of the two of them. Finally, he fell in front of the two of them. Lord D, Lord Lu, something is wrong. The reinforcements from Red Rose territory are here. When Di Changshan and Lu Yao heard the words, they looked at each other in blank dismay. Reinforcements? I haven't heard that there are reinforcements in the Red Rose territory. Di Changshan frowned. Lu Yao grabbed the collar of the transferee and lifted him up. Tell me, how many people are there in the reinforcements? The job changer gulped and swallowed. There's only one. As soon as these words came out, Lu Yao was furious and threw him out heavily. Why? There's only one of you who came to report, and killed him immediately. After saying that, he turned around and prepared to go back to the tent. Di Changshan glanced at the wall of Red Rose's territory in the distance, where the fight was fierce. Things don't seem to be that simple. Sure enough, the job changer who was thrown on the ground struggled to get up, and hurriedly explained, the other party is indeed only one person, but he also has hundreds of dragons. It's that big. Yes, it's that big. As he said that, the job changer opened his arms, wanting to show Di Changshan and Lu Yao the size of the dragon as much as possible. As soon as these words came out, Di Changshan and Lu Yao finally started to face up to this matter. The two looked at each other, and almost at the same time, they remembered an incident that happened more than 2 months ago. Heart-shaped sinkhole. A lord who can summon a dragon killed the two overlords near the heart-shaped sinkhole. This incident was widely circulated at the time. I heard that Yao Fei was also there. In other words, that the lord who can summon the dragon must know Yao Fei. Could it be that he was the one who appeared this time? Damn, who is the other party? Di Changshan cursed secretly. The job changer lowered his head, not daring to look directly into Di Changshan's triangular eyes. The other party claims that Yao Fei is his woman. As soon as the words fell, Di Changshan exploded in an instant. Come on, Yao Fei is the person he named, but now he is being touched by other men. This is unbearable. Old Lu, give an order. We will drive the army over and kill that bastard. Di Changshan shouted. Lu Yao also had the same intention, and immediately nodded. Okay, pass my order. The whole army will attack. Soon, the order was communicated to the three armies. The allied forces stationed outside the Rose Valley were ordered to act together at this moment, walking towards the territory of Red Rose with heavy steps. 5 or 6, tens of thousands of troops marched forward with mighty momentum. Lu Yao and Di Changshan went to supervise the battle in person. They would like to see, who is this man who dares to call himself a gentleman? Is his giant dragon really as powerful as the rumors say? Red Rose territory city hid. The enemies here have been wiped out. The remnants of the Red Rose territory were able to take a breather, and Yao Fei and the others also took this opportunity to recover a lot of their physical strength. At this moment, these people gathered on the top of the city and looked out of the valley. They're coming. Yao Fei pointed to the army of Di Changshan and Lu Yao outside the valley. Suya glanced at it, and the corners of his lips curled slightly. It's good to come. Save yourself the trouble of having to find them yourself. Yao Fei swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and glanced behind herself. But our strength is running out. We are fighting against so many troops. I am afraid that Suyi will chuckle when he hears this. Don't worry, the next battle will be left to me, the dragon. You first assemble your army. After finishing speaking, Suyi blew a sharp whistle. Blazing in the air heard it, turned around and returned to the wall without saying a word. Suyi stepped onto Blazing's back and patted the latter's shoulder fiercely, knowing, the wings trembled, and the huge body was wrapped in the strong wind, soaring into the sky, leading Suyi towards Di Changshan and Lu Yao's army. Yao Fei and the others watched Suyi leave, their eyes full of worry. Sister Fei, what shall we do now? Hozuking asked. Yao Fei gritted her silver teeth, clenched her pink fists tightly, and her sharp nails pierced the flesh in her palms, causing traces of bright red blood to flow out from between her fingers. Quickly rectify the remnants of the army, and we will also kill them. We must not let the leader face everything alone. As soon as these words came out, Hozuking, Ling Yu and the others all nodded. To be able to be a high-ranking member of the Red Rose territory, apart from good ability, the more important thing is character, which has withstood the test of Yafei. Not ungrateful, greedy for life and afraid of death at this moment, under Yafei's order. These job changers dispersed one after another and gathered the remnant army in the city. In the fierce battle before, Liu Yao and Di Shangshan's army launched a fierce attack from all directions in the territory of Red Rose. Under the bitter battle, the defenders of the Red Rose territory had already been scattered. Now in the city, there are still many surviving job changers and arms. Ho Zilking, Ling Yu and others entered the city and issued an order. In a short period of time, those job changers and arms were summoned, form a team of more than 3,000 combat units, and under the leadership of Yafei, fight out from the city. Go straight to Liu Yao and Di Shangshan's army. The other side, Suyu Road Chi Lai, led the giant dragon, and collided with Di Shangshan and Liu Yao's army. The giant dragon split up and launched a fierce attack, like daggers, stabbing wildly into the defense line of the allies. Then roll wantonly, strangle, let the allies cry their fathers and mothers. The giant dragons seem to be fighting on their own, but the effect they play is extraordinary. There is no way. The dragons that Suyu brought this time are the strongest group under his command. Almost all of them are at full level, and their attributes are the same with combat power of such attributes. Even if they fight alone, it is difficult to be killed. Moreover, the lethality of the dragon is terrifying. After one round of attack, dozens or even hundreds of enemy troops will be taken away as time goes by. The dragons are rapidly reducing the vitality of the enemy army. The scene fell in the eyes of Liu Yao and Di Shangshan, and the eyeballs of the two guys almost popped out. What the hell is this? Too strong. But the attack order has been issued, and the Red Rose territory has been defeated. What they want is right in front of them, so it is difficult to give up. Chapter 288 Rose Valley, Rivers of Blood Flow. Second watch subscription? No, of course not, absolutely not. Although Di Shangshan and Liu Yao's allied forces were victorious in their attack on the Red Rose territory, it doesn't mean that they didn't pay anything at all. On the contrary, Yafei led the Red Rose territory to forcibly resist the onslaught for more than 10 hours with the help of the city wall and terrain. During these 10 hours, Di Shangshan and Liu Yao's army suffered many casualties. These are the prices paid if Suyu gave up attacking Yafei now because of Suyu's appearance. Wouldn't the price paid before be in vain, and the two of them would never bear it. Therefore, at this moment, when they saw Suyu's giant dragon army approaching menacingly, they did not give the order to retreat, but ordered to continue to attack. And they still attacked fiercely. Set fire to the sky for me, and kill those dragons. Liu Yao's shout came out, calming down the job changers and arms around him. Then according to Liu Yao's order, he began to raise his weapon and focus on the dragon. In the air, hundreds of attacks flew out from every corner, roaring and flying towards the giant dragon. Then hit it, and then explode. The dragon roared, advanced against the attack, and began to fight back. Those job changers and arms are disparate. Their attacks, falling on the dragon, are no different than scratching an itch. But when the giant dragon's attack landed on them, it was an instant kill. Unfair, very unfair. But in the world, where would there be absolutely fair things? The giant dragons launched wave after wave of fierce attacks. Di Shangshan and Liu Yao's allied forces were beaten and retreated, crying for their father and mother. There are even many who have already given birth to the heart of retreat. Seeing this, Liu Yao and Di Shangshan shouted and stopped, but the effect was not very obvious. Instead, it was because of the voices of the two that they successfully exposed their positions to Suyu. Above their heads, an extraordinarily large dragon descended from the sky. The huge body, with fiery red scales shining with metallic texture, looked so oppressive. Di Shangshan and Liu Yao were also so frightened that they swallowed their saliva and almost fell off their mounts. Soon, it fell to the ground fiercely, and the huge Longan glanced at Di Shangshan and Liu Yao. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190. Suyu stood on Qilai's head and looked at the two of them. You are Di Shangshan and Liu Yao. Suyu's cold voice sounded. The voice reached the ears of Di Shangshan and Liu Yao. You found out these two names from Yafei. Di Shangshan and Liu Yao tried their best to keep calm after hearing the words. Who are you? Di Shangshan asked. The corners of Suyu's lips curled slightly. Why do you need to know me when you are about to die? Di Shangshan's face turned pale. Suyu's words, are you a threat? Liu Yao shook his fat body and scolded angrily. What an arrogant boy. Don't think that a few broken dragons are great. I have already ordered reinforcements to be summoned. Yes, there will be more. 100,000 reinforcements will arrive. When the time comes. Lu Yao was only halfway through when he was interrupted by Su Yi. 20 minutes, but can you live to that time? Lu Yao's face froze, and he was about to speak, but it was overtaken by Di Shangshan on the other side. Damn, you really think we're going to die together? As he said that, Di Shangshan had already taken out a scroll of forbidden spells from his lord's space, holding it in his hand, trembling all over. To be honest, he didn't have the courage to open this scroll because once it is opened, whether Su Yi is dead or not is unknown. But he is definitely dead. Su Yi looked at Di Shangshan with great interest. Scroll of forbidden curse? You opened it? Di Shangshan's face flushed red, veins popping out of his body, obviously in a state of madness. He glared at Su Yi. Bastard, don't force me, Su Yi sneered, and the teasing look in his eyes suddenly changed, becoming cold and stern, becoming murderous. Okay, the game is over, I won't talk nonsense with you. After finishing speaking, Su Yi snapped his fingers, blazingly understanding, and opened his mouth to spit out a mouthful of dragon's breath. The first target is Di Shangshan and Lu Yao. Whoosh! The scorching dragon's breath, which is tens of meters long, swept across Di Shangshan and Lu Yao only had time to let out a scream, and their bodies were burned to ashes like the job transferees and arms around them. Immediately afterwards, it spilled all over the ground, looking extremely infiltrating. The surrounding job changers and arms were all stunned, but Su Yi didn't show them much mercy, ordered Chi Lai to continue the attack. How could the militant Chi Lai let go of this opportunity? His legs slammed on the ground while causing the vibration. The ground began to crack. Countless gaps. Hot magma erupted from the gap, turning the 100-meter range centered on the blazing lava into lava hell. Whether it is a job changer or a unit within this range, all of them will suffer a huge amount of damage. Health drops rapidly like a diabetes insipidus in a few seconds. Thousands of job changers and soldiers died. The corpse fell to the ground, fell into the magma, and instantly turned into sparks, making a burning sound. The news that Lu Yao and Di Shangshan were killed quickly spread far and wide. Those job changers who are still fighting hard, the arms are all shocked and terrified. What's more, he dropped his helmet and armor, and ran out of Rose Valley. Seeing this, Su Yi ordered to pursue. Half of the 100 dragons were split and flew out of the valley. Gundam. With a speed of 500, he quickly caught up with those fleeing job changers and arms, stopped them and killed them in an instant. The entire Rose Valley became a killing hell. Tens of thousands of allied troops were killed. Dead bodies piled up into mountains, and blood pooled into rivers. The screams and roars were mixed together, as if playing the funeral song of hell. Near the direction of the Red Rose territory, Yao Fei led the army to follow closely behind, and started a fierce battle with Di Shangshan and Lu Yao's remnant army. Although it is the remnant army against the remnant army, there is also a difference between superior and inferior. The remnant army led by Yao Fei obviously had high morale. Although there were not many in number, all of them seemed to have been beaten with chicken blood, fighting the enemy bravely without hesitation. On the other hand, Di Shangshan and Lu Yao's remnant army, who are already at the end of the day, have no intention of fighting again, and their only idea is to escape alive. Chapter 289. Su Yi, you know, I don't like trouble when the morale is high. You can see who is stronger and who is weaker when you lose your armor and remove your armor. The allies began to flee with more than 3,000 troops. Yao Fei pursued the victory. Damn, just now these people forced their Red Rose territory to their death. Now, it's time to pay the price. Su Yi didn't show courtesy to Di Shangshan and Lu Yao's allies, and ordered the dragons to kill at will. In less than 20 minutes, most of the allies were killed. The only ones left knelt down on the ground and kowtowed to Su Yi. No, please don't kill us. That's right. We are willing to surrender and go through fire and water for you. Leave us alone. Let us do whatever we want. Su Yi sat on Chi Lai's head, glanced at the more than 100 job changers, and didn't speak. 2 minutes later, Yao Fei led people to join Su Yi. Seeing the scene in front of her, a trace of surprise flashed across her pretty face. These people you wanted to speak but stopped. Su Yi jumped off Blazing Head and stood side by side with Yao Fei. I'll leave it to you to deal with it. It's up to you to kill or save. Su Yi said he intends to cultivate Yao Fei's influence. Therefore, he decided to let Yao Fei decide on the matter. In the north, Yao Fei also seemed to understand what Su Yi meant, and glanced at those job changers who were kneeling and begging for mercy. A trace of coldness flashed in their eyes. Bullying the weak, bullying the weak, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. These words are used to describe these people. According to Yao Fei's true thoughts, she still hopes to kill these people to avoid future troubles. But after thinking about it, since Su Yi left these people and handed them over to him, There must be some other meaning behind it. Recalling the words that Suya said to himself more than 2 months ago, Yafei came to an epiphany, and gritted his teeth. Take him as a prisoner. Wait a minute, I'll sign the subordinate territory contract. In this war, the Red Rose territory suffered heavy losses. Supplementary combat power is needed. Although these people are foolish, they still have to obey Yafei's absolute orders. After signing the subordinate territory contract, it's not bad to let these people be cannon fodder when there is a big war next time. This is the first, and the second is that the Red Rose territory has suffered heavy losses, and it will require a lot of resources to rebuild it. It is a good choice to leave these people behind, forcibly search for resources, and rebuild the territory of Red Rose with these 2 points in mind. Yafei decided to suppress the hatred for the time being, and after the Red Rose territory was redeveloped, it would not be too late to settle accounts with these people. As soon as Yafei finished speaking, Zilking, Lingayu and others walked up behind him. Sister Fei, it's not good to do this. I suggest that we kill them all to avoid future troubles. Ho Zilking said. Don't look at this girl who looks innocent on the surface, but after being irritated, she is also very dark-bellied. I can't wait to chop those who break through the territory of Red Rose into meat sauce. Hearing this, Yafei sighed softly, and glanced at Ho Zilking, Lingayu and the two of them. I've made up my mind, you don't need to say any more. After finishing speaking, he took out the subordinate territory contract, add a few more stringent terms to it, and let those lead masters sign. The lords were angry when they saw the terms of the contract, but they were surrounded by 100 dragons. Dare to be angry but dare not speak. I can only sign obediently. After all, this is the end of the world, not a game. If you die, you will really die, and there will be no chance to start again. After signing the contract, Yafei gave the order to let these lords gather their troops and start to clean up the battlefield, and Suyi walked aside silently. Looking at the darkness in the distance, he remembered that Lu Yao seemed to have said that he had already notified the reinforcements to come here for support, but he didn't know that suddenly, there were footsteps behind him, and Yafei came over. What are you looking at? Jeff asked. Suyi coughed lightly, and truthfully said what Lu Yao said before. When Yafei heard this, she frowned slightly. So, you are worried about this? Suyi chuckled, with a smirk on his face. I'm worried that you're thinking too much. I'm just wondering why they haven't come yet. Now that the war has started, let's just go all out and destroy everything. You know, I don't like trouble. The corners of Yafei's eyes twitched. Shit, this is what Suya is worried about. She thought that Suya was worried about the arrival of reinforcements, and it would be difficult to resist here. But she didn't know that may disappoint you. The news of the defeat here may have already reached the ears of the reinforcements, and it is getting late now. I'm afraid they won't come. Jeff said. Suya was speechless, and sighed lightly. Okay, then we can only wait for tomorrow. Yafei nodded, and took the initiative to hold Suyi's arm. You have been tired for a long time. Let's go back first. In this regard, Suyi did not refuse, put away his giant dragon, and together with Yafei, walked towards the territory of the Red Rose. After returning to the territory of Red Rose, Yafei personally made tea and water for Suyi. Looking at Suyi, who was savoring the tea carefully, Yafei felt uneasy. Been fighting. She didn't have time to think about certain things, but now, after the battle was over, she suddenly remembered the agreement she made with Suyi 2 months ago. 2 months ago, she and Suyi had a long talk all night, and the two sides reached a deal. Suyi can let the Red Rose territory join the Sky Alliance. Chapter 191. But Yafei must prove his own strength within 2 months. She must become the overlord near Dahan Mountain in the north now. 2 months are up. Suyi came to the appointment as scheduled, but Yafei ended up in this fate. She was apprehensive, extremely apprehensive. I was very afraid that Suyi would expel her from the Sky Alliance at that time. Suyi took a sip of tea, put down the cup, and looked at Yafei. You have something on your mind. What are you thinking about? Yafei bit her red lips, made up her mind, and said in a deep voice, I failed to reach the agreement with you. Now, according to the contract, I will immediately withdraw from the Sky Alliance. With that said, Yafei called up the territory panel. Ready to perform this operation. Suyi looked at Yafei, didn't speak, let alone stop him. Soon, the system wizard's notification sounded from Suyi's ears. The Red Rose territory has voluntarily separated from the Sky Alliance. Chapter 290. Make a mistake. Just this one time. That's right. Yafei has separated the Red Rose territory from the Sky Alliance. This is an agreement between her and Suyi. Since she has not fulfilled the conditions, she is not eligible to stay in the Sky Alliance any longer. But Suyi didn't object. It's just that after the Red Rose territory withdrew, he looked at Yafei with great interest. You won't be reluctant. A trace of helplessness flashed in Yafei's eyes, and she shook her head. Of course I will be reluctant, but I did not fulfill the agreement, so Suya understood what Yao Fei meant. She wanted to keep her word instead of waiting for Suya to drive him out. He might as well take the initiative, maybe he can leave a good impression on Suya. And Suya looked directly at Yao Fei, thinking secretly, if I don't show up this time, will Yao Fei die? No, of course not, because similar things happened in the previous life but far less intense than this time in the last life. Yao Fei suddenly remembered the transfer scroll of the flower fairy in his hand at the last moment. It was this thing that saved her life, and also saved the entire territory of Red Rose. Don't forget, the purpose of the flower fairy teleportation scroll is to allow users to enter the flower fairy's secret realm, and only after completing the task can they get the flower fairy troop template. And entering the secret realm means leaving this world temporarily. In this way, Yao Fei just avoided the pursuit of Di Changshan and Lu Yao, and after entering the flower fairy secret realm, successfully complete the secret realm mission and obtain the flower fairy unit template. For the sake of safety, even Yao Fei brought his remnant army and stayed in the secret territory for a month. This came out again after going out. Di Changshan and Lu Yao lost patience and withdrew their troops and left. Only then did Yao Fei get time to breathe. Use the flower fairy template obtained in the secret area, and a large number of resource props to start rebuilding the Red Rose territory. Half a month. In just half a month, the Red Rose territory has recovered its previous strength. In half a month, its overall strength directly surpassed the glory of Lu Yao and Di Changshan, and the gods took control. At that time, Yao Fei began to take revenge with his army of flower fairies. He directly attacked the headquarters of the two territories. After that, it gradually consolidated its dominance in the area of Dahan Mountain in the north. That is to say, this time, even if Suya didn't show up, Yao Fei wouldn't necessarily die, and there is only one reason why she couldn't become the overlord of Dahan Mountain: time. That's right, time. She doesn't have enough time. If she was given another month, the situation in the territory of Red Rose would be different. It's just that the agreement has been set. 2 months. Yao Fei really missed the appointment. Suya, how will you deal with this matter? Seeing Suya's neither sad nor happy expression, Yao Fei was a little dazed, and he didn't even dare to vent his anger. After a while, Suya made a move. He offered an invitation to the Red Rose territory to join the alliance. After seeing the news, Yao Fei looked at Suya and said, "You?" The corners of Suya's lips curled slightly. "Why aren't you happy?" A gleam flashed in Yao Fei's eyes, and she shook her head. "I just want to know the reason." Suya laughed. "The reason is only because you are my woman. As my woman, it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. But remember, it's only this time. If there is a next time, there will be no such convenience." When Yao Fei heard this, she was very moved. Click the agree option, and then threw himself into Suya's arms, rubbing hard. "Husband, you are so kind." The corner of Suya's eyes twitched. "What did you call me, husband?" Yao Fei lowered her voice. Her pretty face blushed. Suya couldn't help but laugh, but in his heart, there was a lot of splendor. While the two were hugging each other, footsteps were suddenly heard outside the Lord's Hall. Hozuking ran in quickly. As soon as she entered, she saw the scene in front of her, and immediately, the little girl was terrified. He quickly turned around and covered his eyes with his hands. Sorry, did I bother you? I'm sorry. I'm leaving first." Suddenly interrupted, Yao Fei quickly broke free from Suya's arms, and shouted at Hozuking's back. "Wait a minute." Hozuking, who was walking towards the door, paused, turned around, and looked at Suya and Yao Fei. Although the light was not very bright, Suya could still clearly see that the little girl's face was very red. It seems that this little girl is also pure. "Are you okay?" Yao Fei asked, with a natural expression, without the embarrassment of being knocked out at all. Suya secretly admired him, with such mentality and quality. "It is really good." Hozuking coughed lightly, and said in a low voice, "The battlefield has been cleaned up. Sister Ling asked me to call you over to take charge of the overall situation." Yao Fei nodded when she heard the words. "Okay, I see. You go there first, I'll be right there." Hozuking hummed, turned and left, and Yao Fei looked at Suya, hesitant to speak. Suya shrugged speechlessly. "Okay, let's go with you." Yao Fei nodded slightly, and together with Suya, walked towards the open space outside the territory of Red Rose. There, all the surviving job changers and arms of Red Rose were summoned. Lingao, Hozuking and the others have already counted the number. Seeing Yao Fei and Suya coming at this moment, he hastened to report to them. "Leader Su, fair. There are 362 job transferees left, and 283 units of all ranks." Lingao reported. Yao Fei sighed slightly. She had expected it to end like this. Now it seems that what I thought was right. There are only so many people left, less than 1/10 of 10%. In this battle, the Red Rose territory suffered heavy losses. After knowing the situation, The Lord Yafai began to lecture. It is nothing more than the remembrance of the arms of the dead transferees, and the future plan of the Red Rose territory. The general meaning is that if you survive a catastrophe, you will have a future blessing. If you work hard, one day you will be able to avenge today's vengeance. It has to be said that Yafai still has prestige in the territory of Red Rose. Raise your arms and let more than 300 job transferees roar. Chapter 291 Yafai, to succeed, you must succeed. Subscribe for the second update. After 10 minutes of lectures, Yaf saves all collected resources. Then it was ordered that the remnant army should be replaced and rested in 3 shifts. As for those captives, they were placed outside the territory of Red Rose, responsible for clearing the corpses outside the city. For this, although the lords were angry, they didn't dare to say anything, so they had to do it. Suyi, Yafei, Hozuking and others returned to the Lord's Hall. Discuss next steps. Here Yafai took out the certificate of Huaxianzi's secret realm and put it in front of everyone. I've decided that everyone should rest overnight and use this thing tomorrow. Hozuking, Lingai and the others looked at each other. I will use it tomorrow, although they also really want to know, what is the flower fairy of the 8th tier unit that has made the Red Rose territory so difficult? But now the Red Rose territory has just ended the battle, and it's still a miserable victory. Do you really still have the ability to explore the secret realm of flower fairy? Lord, should we wait any longer and use this secret realm now? It will put too much pressure on us, Lingai asked boldly. Yafei glanced at Lingai when she heard that. Pressure is our only hope now, let alone pressure. Even if there are mountains of swords and seas of fire ahead, we still have to go. Yafai's words were resolute and unwavering, which made everyone on both sides of the conference table look pale. What's more, they even looked directly at Suyi. Didn't Suyi have a giant dragon army? Didn't he just defeat Di Changshan and Lu Yao's allies? If he took action, the remaining forces of Di Changshan and Lu Yao could be completely wiped out. Let's talk about the flower fairy again. But Yafai actually, Suyi understands what Yafai means now. Chapter 192. She just wanted to prove to Suyi that she had the ability to unify Hanshin. If she can't even do this, then she Yafai, what face does she have to continue to rely on the Sky Alliance? Even if she is Suyi's woman, she absolutely can't. Suyi did not object to this because he knows that Yafai can do it. Seeing Yafai's firm attitude, Lingai and the others swallowed the words that came to their lips again. Seeing this, Hozuking said, I agree with Sister Fei's opinion. We will go in tomorrow, first get the template of the Huaxianzi unit, and then talk about revenge. As soon as these words came out, Lingai and the others let go one after another and agreed together. Everyone made a plan and break up the meeting. Suyi followed Yafai back to the room to rest. It's late at night. The two are lying side by side. The lights are out. Who are you seeing? Do you think you will be successful? In the darkness, Yi suddenly spoke. Yafai sighed and said firmly, I must succeed. If I don't succeed, you will be very disappointed, won't you? The corners of Suyi's eyes twitched. Okay. That's true. In the meeting just now, the final plan was as follows. Tomorrow, Suyi will guard the territory of Red Rose to prevent the remnants of Lu Yao and Di Changshan from counterattacking. Yafai, on the other hand, brought the members of the Red Rose territory into the secret realm, perhaps the template of the Flower Fairy unit. In other words, Suyi will not be directly involved in the process of obtaining the Flower Fairy template as it was requested by Jaff. At this moment, listen to Yafai's words. Suyi pursed her lips and said nothing. Time flies. It is already the second day. Yafai woke up early in the morning, and then began to gather more than 3,000 remnants in order to ensure the success rate of the operation. Yafai will bring all the more than 3,000 remnants with him, of course. This is what Hozuking, Lingai and the others strongly requested. They said that now the Red Rose territory is in trouble, and Yafai is in trouble, and they want to live and die with the Red Rose territory and Yafai. After a night of recuperation, more than 3,000 remnants have mostly recovered from their injuries except for a small number of job changers who were seriously injured. The others can basically participate in the battle. Normally make arrangements for the Red Rose territory. Yafai took out the scroll, opened slowly. A bright pink light came out, and after a while, there was an extra portal in front of everyone. Yafai stood in front of the door, waving at Suyi. Then I'm leaving. Suyi nodded. Go early and come back early. You can definitely do it. Yafai smiled lightly, but didn't reply. Then bear the brunt of entering the portal. More than 3,000 remnants followed closely behind. Hozuking stayed at the end. After seeing everyone entering the portal, she trotted up to Suyi. Leader Su, Sister Fei told you to wait for us for 10 days. If we haven't come out after 10 days, you can leave here. Don't wait. We are, after all. Without giving Suyi a chance to reply, the little girl quickly ran into the portal with a flash of light. The portal slowly shrinks until it finally disappears. Suyi looked at the portal that had disappeared into nothingness, and shook his head lightly. Then he rode blazing onto the city wall. He will be here, waiting for Yafei to come back. As for the 10 days that Hozuking said before leaving, don't worry. Yafei will definitely come out in 10 days. The captives outside the city sat back to back from time to time. He glanced at Suyi on the city wall. When they saw the latter sitting here expressionless, their hearts felt chills. You can't mess with this guy. On the other side, Yafei has brought the remnants of the Red Rose territory to the Flower Fairy secret realm. Appearing in front of their eyes, the world under their feet is something they have never seen before. It is a world of flowers. There are all kinds of flowers. There are roses with thorns, holy lilies, and coquettish hibiscus blooming one after another. Hozuking and Lingayu had already gathered beside Yafei, looking around warily. Sister Fei, what should we do now? Hozuking asked. She is now the monk Zanger who can't figure it out. In the sea of flowers in front of me, neither monsters nor buildings can be seen, so how can they get the template of the Flower Fairy unit? Your Fei didn't answer when she heard the words, but closed her beautiful eyes slightly. At this moment, some hints appeared in her mind as a guide to show her how to move in the uncharted territory. Chapter 292, Di Shanquang and Flower Fairy Secret Realm. The condition for passing is not killing monsters, but level system. There are 3 levels in total. As long as you pass these 3 levels, you can get the template of the Flower Fairy unit. At this moment, Yafei looked at the hint that appeared in his mind, and his frown slightly relaxed. If it's just passing through, it's better, at least for her now. It's a good thing after all. Yafei didn't bring many troops in this time, and some of them were injured. If you really want to fight, these people simply can't erupt enough fighting power. Therefore, Yafei will breathe a sigh of relief after seeing that getting the Flower Fairy unit template does not require a large-scale battle. This is a good thing at this moment. According to the prompt and the guide in his mind, Yafei opened his eyes and stretched his fingers forward. Go this way, follow me. Hozuking, Lingayu and the others were a little puzzled, but they didn't say anything. They all followed in this way. Yafei led a large group of people across the sea of flowers and walked deeper into the secret realm. There is a test waiting for them outside the secret area. To the west of the Han Mountain there is a huge mountain range between here and the Red Rose territory. On the wilderness, a huge city was built. This is Di Changshan's divine city territory. In the hall of the lord of the territory, there are many job changers gathered here at this moment. They all looked at the person at the upper hand position. This person also has a sharp-mouthed monkey cheek, and most importantly, his appearance is 5 points similar to Di Changshan. She looks younger than Di Changshan. That's right. This person is Di Changshan's biological younger brother, Di Shanquang. At this moment, Di Shanquang's face was gloomy and terrifying, and he glanced at the few people below. Have you found out the news? What is the current situation in the Red Rose territory? Several job changers gathered in the hall looked at each other in blank dismay. One of them boldly took a few steps forward. Lord, we have already explored the territory of Red Rose last night, and Yafei did not know where to invite reinforcements, and almost wiped out our allied army. Some of the survivors also surrendered to the territory of the Red Rose. When Di Shanquang heard this, he immediately became angry. Damn, why didn't you tell me earlier? Di Shanquang is not a lord in the territory of Shendu. He is the lord of the Prosperous Age territory, not far from the divine capital territory. Di Changshan and Lu Yao's allied forces were annihilated only early this morning. That's why I hurried here to preside over the overall situation. With a burst of shouting, seeing that the job changers in the hall did not speak, Di Shanquang continued, if you had told me earlier, my brother would not have died. What use are you, trash? The job changers who were scolded by Di Shanquang lowered their heads and dared not speak. Di Changshan and Lu Yao's allied forces were defeated, and they didn't expect this to happen so soon. I thought they would last a long time, but who knows that after scolding a few times, the anger in Di Shanquang's heart calmed down a lot. He turned around and glanced at the few job changers in front of him. Now, kill all the information about my brother's lord, immediately give me. Several job changers looked at each other, and finally pushed out one person. Lord, he is the only one who escaped from the Red Rose Valley. He should know a lot of this information. Di Shanquang heard the words, looked at the man, and said coldly, quickly tell me everything you know. The man's heart trembled, and he sat down on the ground with a common sound. His face was pale, and he said tremblingly, I said that the one who killed the Lord was the reinforcements invited by Red Rose, and there was only one person on the other side, with more than 100 giants. Dragons. Those giant dragons are very powerful. They can fly in the sky, they can spit out flames, ice crystals, and thunder and lightning. Our people are torn apart like paper in front of those giant dragons. Speaking of this, The man was still full of lingering fears, and kept swallowing his saliva. The image of the giant dragon raging across the entire battlefield is still replaying in his mind. Terrible, too terrible. Di Changquang also heard his anger, and angrily said, "Who is that man and what is his name?" "I don't know, I didn't say." The job transfer person who reported the letter said. Di Changquang sat on the throne, rubbing his chin. He already had a rough idea of things originally. The territory of Red Rose has reached the last moment, when the whole army is about to be annihilated. Suddenly, a lord who led the dragon army appeared. Although there was only one person on the opposite side, he led the giant dragon army to kill and kill, almost annihilating the allied army. This is enough to prove the terror of the opponent's strength. Chapter 193. But having said that, Di Changquang doubts whether more than 100 giant dragons can really annihilate the entire army killed by tens of thousands of troops. Even if there is such a strong unit in this world, if they can appear at this time, they just bump into Di Changquang and stop talking. The job changers on both sides of the hall look at each other and dare not make a sound. After a while, Di Changquang spoke again. "Anyway, this bastard killed my brother, and I have to avenge this revenge, so I'm ready to prepare. Right your way, go to the territory of the Red Rose and kill that bastard." With this order, Di Changshan's subordinates nodded in agreement, showing righteous indignation. On the contrary, Di Changquang's own subordinates hesitated. "Lord, we have to think twice about this matter. The opponent can wipe out the entire army of our allies. I'm afraid they are very strong. If we attack by force, we will be afraid." Di Changquang glared at the job transferee, and said word by word, "I must avenge this revenge. Are you going to stop me?" The job changer was at a loss for words, and had no choice but to swallow the words back into his stomach. But Di Changquang also has his own difficulties. On the surface, he wanted to avenge his own brother, but is that really the case? Of course not. Di Changshan is Di Changquang's older brother and the lord of the Shendu territory. Now that he is dead, there are still many troops and various rich properties left behind. If Di Changquang doesn't do something, how can he inherit these properties in a logical manner? I'm afraid Di Changshan's old department will definitely intervene. Chapter 293. Here comes the experience sender. 4th watch subscription. Therefore, in order to secure these properties and the followers of the old department, Di Changquang must do something to prove himself in front of those people. Besides, there is another more important reason. The God Capital territory and the Glory territory joined together to attack the Red Rose territory, and finally almost destroyed the entire Red Rose territory. This is a sworn enemy as Di Changshan's younger brother. Di Changquang is also a member of Di Changshan's alliance. If the Red Rose territory wants to seek revenge, he must be the first to bear the brunt instead of waiting for others to attack. It is better to take the initiative to attack and kill a carbine, and the reason why I choose now is now there is also a reason for attacking. Di Changquang's army is currently waiting for work, and its physical strength is at its peak. The army of the Red Rose territory and the giant dragon of the Lord. After the battle last night, there will definitely be some injuries and physical exertion when attacking at this time. It is just right to catch the unpreparedness and gain the upper hand. These are all of Di Changquang's plans now. He issued a mandatory order, and no one dared to disobey it. "Listen to my order. Immediately gather the army and set off for Rose Valley." Di Changquang shouted loudly. The order was passed on quickly, and the army stationed in the territory of the gods and the armies of each subordinate territory were integrated together. Gather in the open space in front of the God City territory and Di Changquang's prosperity territory. The army has also assembled, and now they are swarming towards this side. This time, Di Changquang assembled an army of 60,000 and attacked Rose Valley. Di Changshan stood at the head of the Shendu territory, watching the army prepare to bypass the mountains and head straight for Rose Valley. With the cold light in his eyes, suddenly, footsteps came from behind, and a young man about his age climbed up the city wall and stood behind him. "Long Sky, I have already negotiated with Liu Yao's old department. They are unwilling to send troops, and they advise us not to send troops either. It is important to avoid the front for the time being." When Di Changquang heard the words, he gave a mocking smile. A group of cowards and idiots, don't they know that once the Red Rose territory recovers, they will attack us? Every one of them has their brains eaten by dogs. Standing beside Di Changquang, the young man named Mu Yun sighed softly. No one of them is in charge of the overall situation. After I went, they are actually dividing up Liu Yao's territory and women. Di Changquang snorted coldly. That's all, Mu Yun. Remember, this is an excellent opportunity for us. As long as we can capture the territory of Red Rose, and after repairing it, we will take down Liu Yao's old troops. This Dahan mountain is ours. Mu Yun nodded upon hearing the words. Understood. Lord, let's go too, Di Changquang hummed, and the corners of his lips formed a strange arc. He brought Mu Yun down the city wall, mounted his respective mounts, and headed towards Rose Valley at the same time. Flower Fairy's secret territory Yafei has led people through the first level and passed it easily, which makes the members of the Red Rose territory full morale soared. They all followed Yafei closely and walked towards the road checkpoint. The Flower Fairy's secret beyond Suyu was still sitting on the head of the Red Rose territory, but at this moment, his eyes suddenly opened. Looked towards the west of the Red Rose territory. There, in a dense jungle connected to the mountains, many bird monsters flew into the sky, as if they were frightened. Seeing this, Suyu raised his eyebrows, and already had an idea in his mind. If there are only 1 or 2 birds flying at the same time, that is normal, but now, with at least hundreds of birds flying at the same time, this situation is not normal. That, in the jungle, there are probably large armies on the move. Combined with the current situation in the Red Rose territory, Suyu raised the corners of her lips. Is the experience giver coming? After speaking, he changed his posture and leaned on Blazing's back, but his eyes kept looking at the west side of Rose Valley, watching every move there. Sure enough, less than half an hour passed, accompanied by the frightened birds in the jungle. There are more and more birds. A large army has poked its head out of the jungle and is coming here mightily. This scene fell in the eyes of Suyi, and it also fell into the eyes of the captives in the city wall of the Red Rose territory. When they saw the army, there was a gleam of joy in the eyes of these captives, but it soon became entangled. They have already seen that the army coming at this moment is Di Changquang's army. Di Changquang is Di Changshan's younger brother. Obviously he came to avenge his elder brother, but now, they are the lords of the Red Rose territory. According to the jump, someone wants to attack the territory of Red Rose, and they must take action to resist. But what to do? A lord lowered his voice. The others looked at each other and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Let's wait and see what happens, and help whoever has the upper hand. But we are captives of the Red Rose territory. Are you so stupid? If the Red Rose territory loses, then we will all lose. Suyi heard some of the whispered discussions under the city wall, but he didn't say anything. People can make their own decisions about their lives. If those captives wanted to die by themselves, then he, Suyi, would not mind killing them together. I believe that Yafei should not blame him. After waiting for more than 20 minutes, the army that left the jungle had arrived at Rose Valley. After half an hour of repairing on the spot, the formation was set up under Di Changquang's order. He came towards the territory of Red Rose. Suyi was still sitting on Blazing's back, without any movement, just watching quietly, looking directly at Di Changquang. The army slowly approached. Behind the army, Di Changquang sat on the shoulders of an exceptionally strong chimpanzee holding the binoculars in his hand. He looked towards the top of the Red Rose territory city. When he saw that Suyi was really alone, he couldn't help feeling slight contempt in his heart. Until now, he still feels that it must be something else that caused the annihilation of his brother Di Changshan and Lu Yao's allied forces. For example, scrolls of forbidden spells or something, that kind of disposable thing. Once you use it, it's gone now. I don't believe that man can kill all his army. Chapter 294. What if the predecessor wins? One more subscription. After simple trimming, Di Changquang pulled out a long sword from his waist and raised it above his head. Attack. Immediately attack. The army that had been on standby for a long time was ordered to stand up one after another, yelling and roaring, and galloped towards the territory of the Red Rose. Di Changquang, as the supervisor, followed closely behind. The army is overwhelming, and the momentum is extraordinary. Suyi, on the head of the Red Rose territory city, also made a move. Standing up slowly, he looked at the army in the direction of the valley. After the distance got closer, he opened his arms ring one after another. Giant dragons flew out from the unit ring, circling and flying above Suyi's head, waiting for Suyi's order. They charged towards Di Changquang's army. Seeing Suyi summon the giant dragon, Di Changquang's army slowed down a bit before coming here. They had all heard about the power of some giant dragon. Seeing it for real at this moment, naturally there will be some shock in my heart. I'm afraid that these guys will swarm and burn themselves into coke with flames. Seeing this, Di Changquang's scalp exploded with anger, and he roared angrily, "Go in for me, anyone who dares to back down, immediately kill." With these words, the army, who was still hesitant at first, suddenly charged like a chicken. Blood. Not long after, they arrived under the city wall of the Red Rose territory. That is where the captives stayed. This time, it will be difficult for the captives. Behind him is the current master, and in front of him is the former master. If they should fight or not, what should they do if the previous master wins? If they don't fight, what should they do if the current master wins? This is really a very tangled issue, but Di Changquang's army obviously didn't give these people too much time to think. Chapter 194. Immediately after the two parties come into contact, an attack was launched in their view. These captives have surrendered to the territory of Red Rose naturally. They will not fight side by side with them. They will only become their enemies since they will become the enemy. It is natural to strike first. The captives came to their senses when the offensive came out. They raised their weapons and fought back. Just kidding. People are getting punched in the face. Is it possible that I am still standing still? How is that different from a fool? At the same time, Suyi's giant dragon army also launched a dive at the same time. A total of 100 giant dragons, led by Suyi, swooped down from the sky, turning into a sharp knife. It pierced into Di Changquang's camp, and then stirred wildly in just an instant. Thousands of combatants were killed. Such a terrifying strangulation, the ability to let Di grow, but he knew exactly what he was here for. Immediately command, Fire Dragon. The only way to deal with this high-level unit is to focus fire. Does it work? Sorry. No, a 10th level dragon has rough skin, thick flesh and high health. Just 3-digit damage, double-digit damage, or even single-digit damage falls on them just like a drop of water falling on the surface of the sea. It will not cause any big reaction at all. Ho ho ho. The sound of the dragon roar continuously. The frenzied giant dragon rushed into the unit camp to kill. Most of Di Changquang's troops are at the 5th rank, and there are quite a few ranks of the 6th and 7th ranks, but still no match for the dragon. But all those who are hit are basically instant kills. Instant kills. A large area of the army was harvested and turned into corpses all over the ground, piled up into mountains. Only 20 minutes after the battle started, the 60,000 troops brought by Di Changquang had already lost 1/3. Seeing this scene, Di Changquang was stunned. What the hell? Now he finally knows what Suyi was able to annihilate his old brother Di Changshan and Lu Yao's allied army. He thought it was a one-time item with high damage such as forbidden spell skills. It now appears that it is not. It's a giant dragon. It's a giant dragon that wiped out the allies. Lord, our army has lost more than 1/3. What should we do now? Mu Yun also sensed that something was wrong. The passion when he came here was swept away at this moment. He ran to Di Changquang and shouted. Di Changquang was also very anxious. Seeing that more soldiers were about to die under the intensive attack of the giant dragon, he already had the heart to retreat. Quick, retreat quickly, let's get out of here, Di Changquang shouted. While shouting these words, his heart was full of humiliation. He still remembered, just 20 minutes ago he also issued a death order. Anyone who dares to retreat will be killed. But what he never expected was that he was the one who said this now. But what can he do? He is also very desperate. In just 20 minutes, more than 1/3 of his army was lost on Suyi's side. All the dragons are still alive and well, even if it is focused on fire, under the healing and shield protection of the Holy Dragon and Fairy Dragon. The lost health of the dragon can be recovered instantly. That is to say, the dragon cannot be killed. Facing such an enemy, Di Changquang is in despair. The army has long had the intention to retreat, and at this moment, receiving Di Changquang's order, they immediately dropped their helmets and armor, and ran back like crazy. Di Changquang yelled while riding back on his mount, "Keep in formation, retreat in a roundabout way, don't mess up, don't panic." But his order, in the face of death threats, seemed so insignificant. All job changers want to survive and escape as quickly as possible, so it turned into the chaos that it is now, and this just gave Suyi a chance. The dragons flapped their wings and moved forward with a strong wind. Di Changquang could only hear the whistling wind above his head when he looked up. His face was all white. The fucking dragon is already on top of him. There is no time to escape, let alone retreat. The giant dragon pressed down from the air, spitting out dragon breath and ice crystals. Unfortunately, Di Changquang was hit, and he was instantly killed on the spot. Then, there are Mu Yun and other job changers and arms. None of them were spared. Was quickly chased by the dragons and killed quickly. After an hour, the 60,000 troops that Di Changquang painstakingly assembled, the whole army was wiped out. Not a single one was left. All were killed. Chapter 295 Tier 8 Soldier, Flower Fairy. The battle was over. Suyi put away the giant dragon, and rode blazing back to the head of the Red Rose territory. It's still the same position, it's still the same posture, and even the expression hasn't changed. The captives who had just experienced a bitter battle under the city wall looked back at Suyi and swallowed their saliva. Knowing this, they truly understood Suyi's strength. Strong, too strong, horrible, too scary. Such an existence can only serve it, not be its enemy. Many people even secretly rejoiced in their hearts. Fortunately, Di Changquang's army didn't throw an olive branch at them just now. Otherwise, these people might change their minds, and once they change their minds and stand on the wrong team, what awaits them will be the onslaught of the giant dragon, a deadly game. Seeing that Suyi didn't look like he wanted to settle accounts with them, these people settled down, organized spontaneously. collected all kinds of resources and materials scattered around the battlefield, and sent them to the open space in front of Suya. Finally, he returned to the open space in front of the Dao city wall and sat down. No more discussion, no more words. Time passed, and it was already night. The bright moon rises into the sky, and the cold and silvery moonlight falls on the earth. It renders the beauty of a cool tone for the earth. Suya was leaning on Blazing's back to doze off. Suddenly, at a certain location in Red Rose City, a dazzling light came out, followed by a portal. The next moment, Yafai stepped out from the portal. Hozilking, Lingayu and others followed closely behind. At this moment, their faces are full of excitement, and their eyes are full of excitement for the rest of their lives, especially Yafai. After sweeping away the haggardness before, her pretty face regained its luster as soon as he came out of the portal. He ran towards the city wall. Hozilking and Lingayu looked funny from behind. Soon, Yafai climbed up the city wall, and saw Suya, who was dozing off on Blazing's back. At a glance, with a happy expression on his face, he hurriedly walked towards this side. While walking, Yafai scanned the surroundings, and when she saw the corpses all over the hills and plains in Rose Valley, she gave a sigh. Corpses? What's the matter with so many corpses? Could it be that after entering the Flower Fairy's secret realm, a battle broke out here? Feeling a little unsure, Yafai quickened his pace and walked to Suya's side. Suya also heard the footsteps, opened his eyes, and looked at Yafai. How about it? I got it. Yafai nodded. I got it. Not only did I get the unit template, but I also got a lot of resources. I am sure that within 10 days, I will recover to the strength of the Red Rose territory at its peak. Seeing Yafai's self-confidence, Suya can probably guess what. Yafai got the Flower Fairy unit template. This is for sure, and the most important. In addition, there should be a lot of resources after that. There are scrolls, building acceleration scrolls, unit training acceleration scrolls, etc., which are definitely indispensable. If not, Yafai absolutely dare not say that within 10 days, the strength of the Red Rose territory will be restored. It seems that this trip to the Flower Fairy's secret realm really benefited Yafai a lot. It's no wonder that in her last life, after she came out of Huaxianzi's secret territory for a month, she developed rapidly and became the overlord near Dahan Mountain in a short period of time. Now it seems that this Flower Fairy secret realm is the territory of Red Rose, and it is also a turning point for Yafai. Because of this thing, the Red Rose territory is in trouble, and Jaff is in trouble. He even nearly died for it. However, for the rest of your life after catastrophe, if you survive a catastrophe, you will have blessings. Yafai successfully obtained the template of the Flower Fairy unit, and next, the territory of the Red Rose will officially enter the stage of rapid development. Anyway, thank you this time, you saved me, and even the entire Red Rose territory, Yafai said, with a sincere tone. Suya couldn't help laughing, and waved his hands. Okay, don't talk about this, just pack up the resources here, and start the violence. After being told by Suyi, Yafai finally realized that there were a lot of resource packs piled up in the open space in front of Suyi, all of which were obtained from the previous elimination of Di Changquang's army. Yafai was also not polite, and asked while packing up the resources, who came here just now? Suyi shook his head. I don't know, I didn't ask. If you want to know, you can ask the people below, they will definitely know. With that said, Suyi pointed to the captives in front of the city wall. Yafai understood, nodded, put the resources into the Lord's space, pulled Suyi from time to time, and walked down the city wall. This trip to the Flower Fairy's secret realm has been smooth and smooth. There was no loss of soldiers or generals. Chapter 195. For Yafai, this is the best result. The two went down the city wall, and Yafai non-stop marked a piece of land in the territory of Red Rose, and took out the template of the Flower Fairy unit. It was a very beautiful female stone sculpture. Before Suya had time to look at it too much, this thing was used by Yafai. As the light flickered, there was already a phantom of a barracks on the open space in front of Yafai and Suya. It is not so much a barracks as a garden. In the huge garden, a castle was built, shining and very beautiful. The building of the 8th tier unit takes more than 10 hours to build. Yafai obviously couldn't wait, and took out the construction acceleration scroll from the Lord's space. Choose to use it, and the garden will take shape instantly, almost in the next second. Suya could already smell the strong scent of flowers emanating from the garden. Very strong, but also very fresh and refreshing. Seeing that the barracks had been built, Yafai started the next step. 50-50 Flower Fairies, direct training. Then take out the troop training acceleration scroll and choose to use it. In just an instant, 50 Flower Fairies appeared in front of everyone, dressed in green leaves, embellished with petals, her silver hair neatly combed behind her head, dancing slowly with a breeze under the flower skirt. half of two long and slender legs were exposed. The most important thing is that behind these flower fairies is a pair of wings made of petals. Chapter 296. Yaphi is about to rise. One more subscription. That's right. Flower Fairy is a flying unit, the 8th level flying unit, long-range attack, magic monster. Needless to say, one can already guess the specific strength of these flower fairies. Suyu was secretly startled after seeing it. It's no wonder that Yaphi became the overlord of the north in one leap after getting the flower fairy unit in her previous life. This kind of high-quality arms, as long as it falls into the hands of a lord with a little bit of brains and courage, he can dominate one side. Suyu was amazed, and through a detection skill at Tua Fairy their attribute information appeared in Suyu's mind, as follows: Flower Fairy, grade, Tier 8 grade. 1 HP. 15 attack power. 60 defense power. 30 speed. 36 skill, Flower Fairy cannon, summoning magic energy, gathered into magic bullets, bombards long-range targets, causing massive damage. Paralyzing pollen, the Flower Fairy can secrete paralyzing pollen, which is sprinkled out during the battle. All targets contaminated with a paralyzing pollen will have a paralyzing effect on their body's paralyzing effect. The speed is reduced by 50%, and the duration is 3 seconds. 3 healing pollen, the Flower Fairy can secrete the pollen with healing effect and sprinkle it out during the battle. All friendly targets contaminated with a healing pollen will recover their health, and those whose health is full will temporarily increase the upper limit of their health. The duration is 5 minutes, and the upper limit of the increase is 1/3 of the total HP. Fallen leaf flying flower, Flower Fairy's ultimate skill, summons countless petals and fallen leaves, rotates around herself at high speed, and then looks for opportunities to attack the target from all directions, causing intensive damage to the target, and has a chance to cause bleeding effect. Bleeding effect, loss of 5% HP per second, lasts for 2 seconds, can be superimposed to 3 layers. Description: the elves born in the Sea of Flowers have extremely high intelligence. They are super arms with both beauty and strength. They have extremely high maneuverability and damage. Seeing this attribute information, Suyu became short of breath for 3 minutes. 3. It is no exaggeration to say that even he was moved by this Flower Fairy troop template. It is worthy of being a high-quality 8th level unit. Even compared with some 9th level and 9 level units, it still has a high score. It has good damage, control, healing, and long-range attacks. It can also fly and looks good. There are hardly any disadvantages. The first skill, Flower Fairy cannon, should be the most frequently used skill of Flower Fairy. Long-range attack, huge damage, very good. The second skill, paralyzing pollen, is a typical control skill. Slow down by 50, which is enough to weaken the enemy's strength to a great extent, especially when fighting against high-speed units. Once hit by paralyzing pollen, it will slow down by 50%, then hit the fart. You will die suddenly. The third skill, curing pollen, can be said to be the skill that surprised Suyu the most. Very perfect. Not only does it heal wounded friendly targets even when facing a friendly target with full health, it can also increase the maximum health of the friendly army. Isn't this adding a shield? Adding a full third perfect can heal, can set shields. There is no doubt about the skills of gods. The last skill, falling leaves and flying flowers, is the ultimate skill of the Flower Fairy. Long-range group attack skills can also add bleeding effects. Loss of 5% HP per second, lasts for 2 seconds, superimposed to 2 layers. That's 20% life loss. The percentage deducted blood is enough to maximize the output of Flower Fairy. Of course, this effect can only work against targets with low defense like Suyu's giant dragon. This kind of defense is as high as tens of thousands, and the guy with rough skin and thick flesh will not have the bleeding effect at all. After closing the attribute panel, Yaphi's voice rang in Suyu's ear. How about it? Great. Hearing this, Suyu gave a thumbs up. Excellent. It seems that your time to rise is coming. A cold light flashed in Yaphi's eyes. I feel the same way. Those lords who bullied me before, the end is here. Suyu didn't say anything about Yaphi's angry words at the moment. For his woman, it is enough to be gentle with herself. And the harder she is for her enemies, the better, because this is the end of the world. This is the age of lords. The more ruthless you are, the better you can live and become stronger. After venting the anger in her heart, Yaphi didn't hesitate, took out the building acceleration scroll, and directly raised the level of Huaxianzi's barracks to level 6 with a few swishes. The training peak is 500. This number is not small. Take the example that it takes 1 million gold coins to train a Flower Fairy. To train 500 units, that would require a total of 5 billion gold coins. Yafei came back from the Flower Fairy secret realm, plus the resources obtained from the 2 wars. The current gold coin reserves are close to 1 billion. Naturally, It is impossible to train 5,000 flower fairies, but with 1,000 heads, it shouldn't be too difficult. There is a troop training acceleration scroll. Batch after batch of flower fairies began to appear in the territory of Red Rose. They are all bright and beautiful, with extremely beautiful appearance. And there is a faint fragrance of flowers floating on their bodies. Suyi is not interested in watching here for too long. He went back to his room first to rest, and the others in the territory of Red Rose are cheering. Today is a historic moment for them, and for the entire Red Rose territory. It was also today that the Red Rose territory officially rose after all the gold coins have been trained into flower fairy units. Yaofai ordered everyone to disperse and go back to rest. Tomorrow, she will go out to fight, to support the war with the war, and let the lords near Dahan Mountain see the consequences of provoking her. Yaofai after washing returned to the room. Suyi has been waiting here for a long time. Yaofai was in a good mood and took the initiative to greet her. Suyi wasn't too polite, and the two fought fiercely. It wasn't until 2 hours later that the two fell asleep one after another. The next day, the sky was bright, and when Suyi opened his eyes, Yaofai had already left. The sound of orderly footsteps came from the territory of Red Rose. It seems that Yaofai has already started training arms. This girl is also a desperate master. Suyi also turned over. When I went out, I saw more than 1,000 flower fairies lined up in a square formation, standing in the open space of the Red Rose territory. Chapter 297. Today's goal: 20 territories. Yaofai stood on the high platform in the front with a heroic posture. Maybe it was Suyi's footsteps that startled her. The latter turned around, looked at Suyi, and showed a bright smile. I'm all ready. And I can go anytime. Suyi knew what she wanted to do. Di Changshan and Lu Yao's allied forces invaded before the Red Rose territory suffered heavy losses. There were at least 1,000 job changers who died in that battle. Now, Yaofai wants to avenge these people. And she has asked clearly who committed the crime yesterday. It is Di Changshan's younger brother Di Changquang. Unfortunately, this guy has been eliminated by Suyi in advance. So now, what Yaofai wants to fight is Lu Yao's glory territory and his alliance to support war with the war. This is the principle Suyi taught Yaofai in the Age of Lords. If you want to get more resources and become stronger, the best way is to fight and plunder. As for Suyi and Yaofai, neither of them are the kind of people who are tigers. They will not take the initiative to provoke others at will, but once provoked by others, the person who provoked them must pay the price. As far as Jaff is concerned, regardless of whether it's Di Changshan, Lu Yao, or Di Changquang, they are all her enemies, enemies of the Red Rose territory. Now that she, Yaofai, is ready to go, it's time to find her place again. After reorganizing the army, Yaofai didn't stay long and chose to go immediately. Set off, and Suyi, out of curiosity about the Huaxianzi's arms, also followed on the battlefield. Last night, Yaofai had secretly sent someone to inquire about the situation in the Land of Honor. As soon as Lu Yao, the leader, died, those subordinate territories and deputy lords immediately turned their faces. Divide family, territory, resources, and even Lu Yao's woman. It's now reduced to a mess of sands, and this happened to be the perfect opportunity for Yaofai. Chapter 196. Leaving aside Suyi's giant dragon army, Yaofai now has less than 110 flower fairies and more than 3,000 other troops as combat power. It is obviously not enough to attack a territory that is too strong. On the contrary, it is the most suitable target for Yaofai to bully the glorious territory that has been reduced to loose sand. Divide and attack, and slowly grow yourself. Hozilking and Lingayu lead the way with ground troops. Yurfei and Suyi sat on Shilai's back, followed by more than 1,000 flower fairies. Those beautiful young ladies and sisters are amazing when they fly. The transparent wings flapped, pushing the body to fly forward. Lu Yao's glorious territory is located in Rose Mountain. There is a big river there, the pedestrian area that just cuts off the territory of the Red Rose. But, unfortunately, Hanako has the ability to fly at this moment. Under Yaofai's order, more than 1,000 flower fairies flapped their wings and flew towards the opposite side of the river. After seeing this scene, the defenders on the walls of the glory territory looked at each other in confusion and their memory. In the territory near Dahan Mountain, there is no territory with such troops. Just when they hesitated and were puzzled, Yaofai's flower fairy army had already crossed the river and came to the sky above the glory territory. Then find a suitable position and launch an attack without saying a word. Can you imagine the sight of more than 1,000 flower fairies releasing the flower fairy cannon together, like setting off firecrackers? The crackling sound resounded non-stop. In just an instant, the defenders on the walls of the glory territory suffered heavy losses. Then the flower fairies entered the city, relying on their strong mobility. Sprinkles paralyzing pollen, then releases fallen leaves and flying flowers. In an instant, the thousands of defenders in the entire glory territory were screaming, crying ghosts and wolves. His body was infested with paralyzing pollen. He couldn't run, and there were all kinds of intensive attacks falling from the sky. Immediately he was killed. The corpse fell to the ground in the rear. Suyi and Yafei followed closely behind on the blazing, witnessing everything that happened in the glory territory. The soldiers led by Hozuking and Lingayu had already found the bridge across the river and walked over it. However, the fighting power of Flower Fairy is really terrifying by the time they feel the scene. The battle here is over. Yafei acted resolutely, waved his slender hand, immediately clean up the battlefield. As he said that, he and Suyi rushed into the Lord's Hall of Glory territory. A job changer from the Red Rose territory was appointed as the Lord. Then opened the resource reserve of Glory territory. There are more than 200 million timber, stone ore, and iron ore. Even gold coins are close to 100 million. It was a good harvest, and Yafei immediately accepted it with a smile. Then, some of the defenders were left behind, and they led the Flower Fairy Legion straight to several core subordinate territories of the Glory territory. The situation over there is similar to the Glory territory. There are not many defenders, only 1 or 2,000, at most 3 or 4,000. These arms are not the opponents of Flower Fairy at all. What's more, Yafei came to the scene in person to direct the battle, which accelerated the battle rhythm even more. After a round of sweeping, the defenders in the territory were killed and injured, and the resources were plundered, leaving the garrison, and then looking for the next territory. In the next 6 to 7 hours, Yafei successively plundered and occupied more than a dozen subordinate territories of Glory territory. Half of them were eliminated directly, and the remaining half were lords who were willing to surrender to Yafei. In this regard, Yafei did not kill and reject people thousands of miles away. Directly let those lords sign the subordinate territory contract, then extract the resource reserves of those territories and leave together with Suyi. Ride blazing and continue forward. My goal today is to capture 20 territories. Yafei sat beside Suyi and said in a cold voice. The corners of Suyi's eyes twitched. Only now did he understand that some women are more ruthless than men. Jaf is a typical example, but this is also good. The more territory Yafei occupies, the more resources she plunders. Using these resources, I believe she will soon be able to consolidate her dominance near Dahan Mountain, and her Flower Fairy Legion, after successive victories, became more courageous and stronger with each battle. The improvement of the level and the richer the combat experience are, these are good ways to improve the combat effectiveness. Chapter 298, Sweeping the Dahan Mountain. Subscribe for the third watch. After Yafei fulfilled his promise and conquered the 20th territory, it was also night time. After coming out of the 20th territory, Yafei gave the order to lead the troops back to Rose Valley in the dark. Before, in order to maintain the high mobility of the team, most of the infantry units were assigned by Yafei to serve as garrisons in various occupied territories. So, by Yafei's side now, there are only Suyi and more than 1,000 Flower Fairy units. Both the dragon and the Flower Fairy can fly. The speed is not slow, and the maneuverability is strong. At this moment, under the orders of Suyi and Yafei, Kiki flew towards Rose Valley. While flying back, Yafei counted his harvest today. Timber, stone ore, and iron ore are 600 million yuan, and gold coins are 400 million yuan. The harvest is not bad. Yafei tilted her head and said, seeing the innocent face of this little girl. The corners of Suyi's lips curled up. Then I have to congratulate you. You have successfully taken the most important step. Yafei turned her head and looked at Suyi. That's the only way I can be worthy of you, isn't it? Suyi laughed, and pulled Yafei into her arms. After returning to the territory of Red Rose, Suyi had dinner, washed up and went to rest. As for Yafei, she started a new round of construction using the resources she got during the day today. Yafei was amazed by Huaxianzi's explosive fighting power, so she decided to put all the gold coins she got today into the training of Flower Fairy. This is one of the few channels through which she becomes stronger. After arranging everything in the territory, Yafei returned to Suyi for a week. After the connection, Yafei, accompanied by Suyi, fought in all directions. The size of the Flower Fairy army is also getting bigger and bigger, from 1,000 to 1,000, then from 1,000 to 2,000, and finally to the current 2,000. Apart from the Flower Fairy army, Yafei has other gains that cannot be ignored: ordinary arms and job changers. In 1 week, Yafei captured more than 70 territories. More than 40 of them chose to surrender to Yafei and became the subordinate territory of the Red Rose territory. And after signing the subordinate territory contract formulated by Yafei, Yafei also indirectly obtained the command right of these subordinate territories. There are more than 60,000 job changers and arms combined. This is not a small amount. Coupled with a nearly invincible Flower Fairy Legion, Yafei is one step closer to unifying the Great Han Mountain. Suyi could be said to have witnessed Yafei grow up with his own eyes. While amazed in my heart, I was also thinking about the distance between some other Dahan Mountains and the Starfield territory. Now the Red Rose territory has officially become a member of the Sky Alliance. In this way, there must be intensive exchanges between the two territories. Hongzhou Dryant territory, Taxi Clearwater, Cloud territory, and Starfield territory all have portals. The transportation is more convenient. One drills into the portal, and when you come out, you have already traveled thousands of miles to another territory. So far, there is no portal connection between the Red Rose territory and the Star Domain territory. This is something Suyu needs to consider. There are not many ways to get the portal at present. What Suyu can do is even less. After thinking about it, Suyu could only focus on the main city of the undead. Attack the main city of the undead, and there is a chance to get the front props for building the portal. Thinking of this, Suyu found Yafei and began to ask him where is the main city of the undead. Near Dahan Mountain. When Yafei heard this, she frowned slightly, combed her hair and said, "What are you looking for here?" Suyu didn't hide anything, and directly told the truth. When Yafei heard this, she immediately became interested. It would be great to have a portal. When the time comes, connect the Red Rose territory with your Starfield territory. If we want to travel between us, it will be much more convenient. Suyu nodded. Yes, then, may I ask, where's the main city of the undead? Yafei tied up her hair, sat in a chair and meditated for a moment. Her beautiful eyes lit up. Yes, there are undead haunting the north and east of Dahan Mountain, but I didn't pay much attention to it before. I don't know the details of the main city of undead location, but I can look for it. When Suyu heard this, he made a decisive decision, immediately set off. Now Yafei has almost stabilized the position of the Red Rose territory in Dahan Mountain. Suyu wanted to settle the matter here earlier, and then return to the Starfield. The gold mine over there has been put into use. Suyu is still a little worried seeing Suyu's urgency. Yafei didn't say anything with the latter. He went out to gather the army. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197. Take all the flower fairies and go straight to the north of Dahan Mountain with Suyu. Across the long mountain range, the two patrolled from the sky, overlooking the earth. Not long after, in a dense forest, a main city of undead was discovered. The scale is not too big, not even comparable to the one that Suyu wiped out in the East Valley of the Starfield territory before. The main city of the undead has been discovered, so the next step is to fight. Suyu summoned the giant dragon, and Yafei ordered Huaferi. The two flying units launch a charge together into the camp of the undead. It is daytime now, and the sun is shining brightly and harshly, weakened a lot of strength of the undead. This just provided convenience for Suyu and Yafei. The dragon takes the lead, followed by the flower fairy. The two armies entered the main city of the undead one after the other in less than 2 hours. The main city of the undead, which had 40,000 to 50,000 defenders, was cleaned up while the undead were killed, which raised the level of the flower fairy a lot. These days, I have experienced so many battles and killed so many enemies. Currently the flower fairy with the highest level has already reached level 7. The attributes are greatly increased, and the strength is even more tyrannical. Facts have proved that the improvement of the level of the arms is the biggest channel for improving the strength, and there is no one at this moment. The undead in the main city of the undead has been completely killed. Suyu and Yafei jumped off Blazing's back and walked into the main city hall. Start counting the harvest, and by the way, start looking for the pre-portal props they are looking for on this trip. Chapter 299. Connecting the Red Rose territory and the Star Domain territory. One more subscription required. It's a pity that the two circled around the entire main city of the undead. I found a lot of resources, but I couldn't find the blueprint of the portal. This made Suyu and Yafei somewhat helpless. It's not a waste of time. These resources can train a lot of flower fairies. While talking, Yafei stuffed the tens of millions of resources he had found into the Lord's space. Suyu shrugged, turned and walked towards the door. Let's go to the next place. Yafei collected the resources and followed in. Together with Suyu, they rode Blazing and led the Flower Fairy Legion straight to the next main city of the undead. After arriving at the place, go to war without saying a word. Suyu's 100-headed dragon has fought undead many times, and he is very good at how to defeat these guys. Easily gain the upper hand together with Huaferi. It only took more than an hour to successfully take down the main city of the undead. Then he started to search the whole city together with Yafei. Unfortunately, this time there are still only resources, no blueprints for portals. Why still not? Yafei frowned. She believed what Suyu said. Suyu said that the blueprint of the portal will be refreshed in the main city of the undead, So it will definitely be refreshed, but what surprised her was why she didn't see this thing after capturing 2 undead main cities in a row. Suyu was also a little confused. He already knew that there is a chance that a blueprint of the portal will appear, but it is not 100%, but I didn't expect the probability to be so low. Try again, our speed is not slow, and we won't waste too much time, Suyu said. He gave all the orders. Yafai naturally didn't dare to say anything more, nodded and followed. For the next 3 days, Suyu and Yafai kept running around Tahan Mountain. All the undead main cities that will be seen will be destroyed in order to obtain the blueprint of the portal. The two destroyed more and more undead main cities. With Tahan Mountain as the center, the scope of exploration is also increasing until the 5th day. After destroying the 12th main city of the undead, the two finally got what they wanted. It was opened from a treasure chest. 2 blueprints. Portal blueprint, level, description. Use this blueprint to have the authority to build a long-distance portal. The distance between the entrance and the exit must not exceed 4,000 kilometers. Not only that, this blueprint is higher than the one Suyu obtained last time, which was built in the Tree Demon territory and the Starfield territory. The longest transmission distance can reach more than 4,000 kilometers. Suyu estimates that the distance from the Red Rose territory to the Star Domain territory is more than 3,000 kilometers. Thinking this should be enough, the thing was found, and the mood of the two of them came holding hands. They returned to the Red Rose territory after nearly 20 days of reconstruction. The entire Red territory has taken on a new look. Of course, this is also related to Yafai's rich supply of resources. Otherwise, even if the job change in the Red Rose territory, if the developers have the time and no resource support, it is still impossible to restore the entire city now. Although the city in the Red Rose territory has been restored, the Rose Valley outside the city has suffered irreversible damage. After several wars, there will be no more scenes of blooming flowers, and no more refreshing floral fragrance. This made Suyu a little regretful. The scenery in this place is so beautiful, right? If possible, he would like to bring Sukainer, Lin Yangxi and the others over to have fun. But now, although Yafai also has some regrets about this, most of her thoughts are now on the development of the territory. There is no sentimentality. After returning to the territory of Red Rose with Suyu, she began the construction of the portal over a distance of 4,000 kilometers. The resources required are almost astronomical, starting with 500 million. Yafai was greatly surprised. Fortunately, this guy has been fighting day and night these days, and he has already saved a lot of resources immediately. He donated generously and built the portal. It took up to a month to build. Helpless, can only wait. Although Yafai's construction speed up scroll still has some unused quota, but using it on the portal, I always feel that it is a bit of a loss, so it's just useless. Together with Suyu, I washed up and went back to my room to sleep. It was already late at night. Suyu got off Yafai, rested for a while, and suddenly said goodbye. I should go back. The incident came so suddenly that Yafai didn't react immediately. When Suyu exhaled, tomorrow, Yafai bit her red lip. Can't you stay for 2 more days? Suyu shook his head. Next time. Anyway, there is already a portal between the Red Rose territory and the Starfield territory. Once the portal is built, it will be convenient to travel between the two territories. Yafai heard the words, but did not speak. It was very sad in my heart. It is no exaggeration to say that Suyu is responsible for 80% of the Red Rose territory's current achievements. He is leaving now. Yafai's heart was full of reluctance. If possible, she even wanted Suyu to be by her side all the time. But is it possible? Of course not. After thinking about it, Yafai gritted her silver teeth and forced a smile. Okay, then you have to pay attention to safety. Suyu nodded, and lay down next to Yafai the next day. Suyu fulfilled what he said last night, and accompanied Yafai after breakfast. So he rode on Blazing and prepared to leave. Say goodbye to Yafai, and fly high into the sky on Blazing. In the territory of the Red Rose, all the job changers were gathered by Yafai, stood in the city, stared at Suyu, and saluted slightly in their view. This is the treatment Suyu deserves. Without him, the Red Rose territory might have been gone long ago. Suyu didn't expect that Yafai would make such a big fight. Looking back at the territory of Red Rose, she gradually moved away. Chapter 300 Banners Betrayed, second more for subscription. After leaving Rose Valley, Suyu didn't stop, and rode Blazing towards the south. Under Suyu's order, Chilar rushed to the fastest speed and returned quickly. It's not that Suyu is eager to return home, but that he really doesn't care about the gold mine. Although there were hundreds of giant dragons guarding him, Suyu closed his eyes and fell asleep, thinking in his heart. In this way, after flying for 2 days in a row, Suyu finally returned to Hanan City. Instead of going back to the Star Domain, he went directly to the gold mine. A few minutes later, The gold mine appeared in Suyu's field of vision in the sky above the mine. Dozens of giant dragons are patrolling back and forth uninterruptedly around the mine. Territory number 1 has grown a lot. It seems that Eve has developed a lot here during his absence. In addition, other territories arranged around the mine have also become much larger. It seems that a perfect line of defense has been established for the mine. Suyi rode blazing and approached, and was quickly spotted by the patrolling dragons. Chapter 198. But when they saw that it was Suyi who had returned, they all let out dragon roars, as if to remind the people in the city that Suyi was back. Suyi was not polite, and ordered Chilai to land. It soon fell into the territory of gold mine number 1. Eve greeted her immediately, but her complexion looked complicated and heavy, which made Suyi a little puzzled. What's wrong? What happened? Suyi asked. Eve nodded upon hearing that, gritted her teeth and said, Banners, the old man has betrayed. Suyi frowned. It was the only accident he could think of. After all, this little old man is crazy, and he does things a little unreliably, and he just listened to the order and Suyi. This time Suyi left here to go north for 20 days. Seeing that Suyi was not there, the little old man shook his head, fearing that Eve heard the words. No, he didn't rebel, he was arrested. Suyi frowned. What the hell did he take away? He is Banis, one of the 6 leaders of the Machine Kingdom. Can be easily captured? Are all the dragons here vegetarian? What happened? Tell me everything, Suyi said coldly. Eve nodded, and began to talk to Suyi. In fact, this is how it happened. That is, a day ago suddenly a large army came near the gold mine. This army is different from other intelligent races and monsters. The people who make up this army are all existences similar to robots. There are automatic machines, and there are huge machines that are manually operated. There are more than 30,000 in number. Before coming to the city, call for banners directly. At that time, Eve was very puzzled, and was about to order an attack to give these mechanical armies. Some color banners came out from the city and prevented Eve from giving the order. He said he knew those people from the Machine Kingdom. Eve asked Banners how to solve the current problem. After being silent for a while, Banners took out something, quietly handed it to Eve, and urged Eve to hand it over to Suyi. After finishing these, Banners went down alone past the city wall and walked towards the mechanical army. After that, I don't know what agreement the two sides reached. The mechanical army withdrew and headed west. A day later, that is, now, Suyi came back after Eve finished talking about what happened. She waved her slender hand and took out 2 things from her lord's space. The first is a blueprint, made of an unknown material, very resilient. Suyi opened it and saw that it was densely packed with lines. There are many, very dense, and it should look like a blueprint of a complex machine. Seeing this, Suyi was a little puzzled. He had never seen Banners take out this blueprint. Seeing it now, I am very confused. But after thinking for a while, Suyi's eyes suddenly brightened. Before Banners left, he left the blueprint to him as the most important thing. Obviously this blueprint is very important to Banners. As for the blueprint that is very important to Banners, Suyi knows a copy, that is, the copy that Banners stole from the Mechanical Kingdom. Suyi wanted to see this before, but Banners didn't give it. Could it be the one in front of me? With a vague idea in his mind, Suyi quickly looked at the next thing. This is not a drawing, but a circular disc with a diameter of about 10 centimeters. There is also a button on the side. Suyi pressed lightly, and light began to appear on the disc. A horizontal and vertical grid appears at the same time. Many, very dense. On the grid, there are 2 small dots. One red and one white. The white dot does not move, but the red dot flashes on one side and moves westward. Seeing this scene, Suyi immediately understood this is the locator that Banners left for himself. The purpose is to let Suyi know the exact location of Banners. That moving and flashing red dot should be where Banners is now. It goes without saying that the purpose of Banners leaving this thing is to let Suyi save him. The matter became clear. Suyi immediately ordered, "You stay here, I'll chase Banners back." When Eve heard this, she looked at Suyi with a dazed expression on her face. Chasing Banners back like this? Suyi didn't answer, just stepped on the fiery back, and shouted as he flew towards the sky, "I'll tell you about these things when I get back." After all, Suyi flew into the sky on blaze. Then a whistle was blown on the defense line of the gold mine. More than 200 huge figures soared into the sky. That's 200 dragons now, under the leadership of Suyi. They galloped towards the west. Eve stood on the city wall, watching Suyi leave with a dragon, eyes full of thought. But thinking about it, she understands her current mission better. Suyi took away 200 giant dragons, and the defense power near the gold mine dropped a lot for a while. Therefore, Eve's task is to protect this place and wait for Suyi to come back on the other side. Suyi had already flown a long way on his Chilai. While flying him, he stared at the disc in his hand. His guess was right, the white dot at this moment, that is, him. was slowly approaching the red dot. I believe it won't take long for the white dot to catch up with the red dot. Chapter 301 Banners. I want to pee. Subscribe for the third watch. At the same time, more than 1,000 kilometers away to the west of the gold mine, an army composed of machines is advancing rapidly. In the center of the phalanx formed by the army, Banners was sitting in a chariot, shouting, "Stop, stop, your great leader Banners is going to pee." But after the words fell, the mechanical troops did not intend to stop at all, and they were still marching forward. It seems that Banners' words are not taken seriously at all. Seeing this, Banners was furious. "Damn, you bastards. Don't you even give the leader time to pee?" As soon as the words fell, a cold, emotionless mechanical voice came from behind Banners. "Banners, according to my data records, the last time you peed was 23 minutes ago. Oh, so diligent. Do you have a prostate problem unique to humans?" The cold mechanical sound sounded, and Banners hurriedly turned his head. All I saw was a robot over 5 meters tall, who had landed on his chariot at some point. 2 eyes like car lights were fixed on Banners. Banners snorted coldly. "CERN, you transformed your whole body into a machine, so naturally you can't feel the pleasure of peeing. I will say it again for the last time, stop immediately and let me pee, or you will know the consequences of..." The robot CERN was silent, and the car lights blinked non-stop, as if considering Banners' proposal. But Banners didn't give CERN much time to think about it. With a plop, he jumped off the chariot, and then walked towards the left side of the army. Seeing this scene, Then was furious and had to order the whole army to stop. Only then did the mighty mechanical army stop and stand in place. Banners passed through the crowd, and soon walked out of the army of the Machine Kingdom. Stand in front of a bush. There was a buzzing flying sound behind him. Several flying machines flew behind Banners under the command of CERN. Banners turned his head and stared at them, and said angrily, "Why, haven't you seen chickens? Look at the piss. You guys who have completely abandoned the flesh." Several flying machines looked at each other, but had no choice but to stop behind Banners, waiting for this troublesome guy to finish peeing on this road. From the gold mine to the present, we have traveled about 150 kilometers. It took nearly 20 hours during this period. The bastard Banners urinated more than 50 times, made excuses to eat, kill monsters and other things that made the army stay at least 30 times. This made Sean quite unhappy. It is also one of the 6 leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom. However, it was ordered to take it back intact. That's why I have been enduring those unreasonable demands of Banners. Otherwise, with CERN's stupid thinking, he might have tied up Banners long ago and transported him back by force. At this moment, while pretending to urinate, Banners took out a disc that was exactly the same as Suyu's from the space in his abdomen opened to view. When he saw that the white dot was already moving, Banners showed a smile on his ugly old face. "Good boy, at last do you understand what I mean?" After just a glance, Banners put away the small disc, then symbolically shake twice, and then walk back. Sitting back on the chariot, he glanced at CERN. "The one. Let's go, CERN." Chapter 199. Damn, what the hell is that? Who? I have a name. It's called CERN. Well, actually, from Banners' point of view, there is a reason why he didn't give CERN face. Although this guy is also one of the 6 leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom, but it is the weakest one. This is the first second. The 6th leader of the Mechanical Kingdom was not CERN, but another biochemical man named Krupp. But later he was killed by John Chris, the leader of the Mechanical Kingdom, and was replaced by CERN. Let's talk about this John Chris. This guy is Banners' deadly enemy. Originally, the Mechanical Kingdom was very united, but after this John Chris became a big leader. I don't know what kind of madness it is. It ordered all members of the Mechanical Kingdom to abandon their human bodies and completely transform themselves into machines. Many people disagree with this decision. Banners is one of them, but this crazy old man is only keen on researching various technologies, and has no apparent conflict with John Chris. But later, John Chris saw that his decision could not be implemented in the entire Mechanical Kingdom. Another way came to mind. The 6 leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom have a very high status in the hearts of the people of the Mechanical Kingdom. If it is possible to turn all 6 leaders into fully mechanical forms, will the people who are convinced of them also make changes? So, John Chris began to order, trying to persuade the other 555 leaders to reform, but with little success. Banners was the first to quit, and the day before John Chris was about to take action against him, he stole the most important blueprint of the Mechanical Kingdom and left the Mechanical Kingdom. John Chris was furious when he found out, so he ordered the arrest of Banners. What happened next is pretty clear. In order to avoid being wanted by the Mechanical Kingdom, Banners was deliberately captured by the undead and sent to the dungeon until being rescued by Suyu. Then it was brought back to the star field to build a gold mine. Banners reappeared and soon attracted the attention of the Machine Kingdom. Then the current thing happened as for why Banners was willing to leave with Thun's army when he was in the gold mine. There is also a reason the gold mine is of great significance to Suya. Banners is well aware of the combat power of the mechanical army. If a battle breaks out there, the gold mine will definitely win, but there will be a price to pay. Most importantly, news about the gold mine is likely to be leaked. Gold mines not only have a great effect on the Lord, but also on the mechanical kingdom. If this news is brought back to the mechanical kingdom, it will definitely get a lot of attention from John Chris. And then chapter 302, kill all of them and leave none behind. Please subscribe for more. That's why Banners didn't break out the conflict after seeing the Syrian army. Instead, he left a blueprint and the disk that could record his coordinates, and left directly. This is to protect the safety of the gold mine. At the same time, it was also for Suya to save him in the end. It was Banners who was doing things all the way, urinating and delaying time. This is to buy time for Suya. As long as the advance speed of the thin army is slower, the chance of Suya finding Banners will be higher. Then, it has been delayed until now. After seeing that Suya had already set off, Banners felt relieved a lot compared to Eve. He is more willing to trust Suya as long as this guy makes a move. There will definitely be a way to save himself. The back of the mechanical army. Suya rode blazing and galloped all the way. Even if the dragons are fast, but En's mechanical army had left for nearly 20 hours. After all, it's not easy to finish the 20-hour journey. However, the distance between the white dot and the red dot on the disk is shrinking rapidly. This made Suya very pleased. In this way, Banners procrastinated all the way, and Suya chased after him with a dragon. Finally, one day later, the two sides met in a canyon. At this moment, at the end of Suya's field of vision, a mechanical army appeared galloping mightily forward, and the scene where Suya appeared, was successfully spread to the camp of the mechanical army. Banners leaned on the battlefield and looked back. When he saw hundreds of dragons in the sky, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. Finally come, then, also found the dragon following behind the car. Light-like eyes flickered, and some couldn't decide to pay attention. It has seen those dragons where Banners live. Seeing you again now, could it be that they are chasing soldiers? Boss Ern, the dragons behind have followed us for a long time. Please tell us what we should do. A flying robot flew up to CERN and asked, then clenched his fists and glanced at Banners on the battlefield. The guy had no expression on his face and could not see any reaction. Speed forward and leave them alone, CERN ordered. The surrounding robots nodded upon hearing the words, accelerated the army, and galloped forward. Suya's giant dragon followed closely behind, keeping the same distance from the machine. The previous high-intensity and high-speed flight caused the dragons to lose a lot before starting the battle. Suya wanted to restore some of the dragon's physical strength in this way. The battle of the dragon has been greatly improved. Until 20 minutes later, Suya was fully prepared, and with an order, all the dragons accelerated and flew to the front of CERN's mechanical army, blocking their way. Seeing this, CERN hurriedly slowed down the army, and finally stopped walking out of the army. He looked directly at Suya, who was blocking the way. Who are you? Sean asked. Suya didn't answer immediately, but looked down at the mechanical army camp, watching every move of Banners. This small, the old man is very treacherous. At this moment, seeing CERN's attention was attracted by Suya, jumped off the chariot again, and ran out of the mechanical army camp with an excuse to pay attachment. This work comes from the internet in published books. The work is only for readers to preview. Please delete it within 24 hours of downloading. It cannot be used for commercial purposes. If you think this book is good, please buy the genuine book. Thank you for your support to the author. Key points. I hope you can keep this paragraph if you reprint it. It's a bit hard to organize, but retention is a virtue. Several flying robots followed closely behind, but how can they see Banners? They just left the camp of the mechanical army. Banners threw a few balls at several flying robots at the same time. It also turns on a thruster on its own mechanical leg, accompanied by the explosion of Blast 2. Banners soared into the sky, and flew towards Suya like a rocket. There was an explosion sound behind him, and CERN turned his head quickly. Then he happened to see Banners flying over his head, and was furious. Damn, Banners ran away. Catch him for me. With an order, tens of thousands of mechanical troops moved together. A total of 10,000 flying machines soared into the air, rushing towards Banners. Banners yelled in fright, "You bastards, Lord, save me." Suya clutched his forehead and was speechless. He snapped his fingers and ordered the attack. The giant dragon army circling in the sky can't wait. At this moment, under Suya's order, a swoosh fell from the sky, and rushed towards the flying robots that flew up at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, a fierce battle broke out. The flying robot immediately under attack. What dragon's breath, ice crystal, lightning, don't greet me like money. The first batch of flying robots that bore the brunt were instantly scrapped. Although they are mechanical life forms, after the digitization of the whole world, They are also endowed with various attributes from the attribute analysis. These flying robots should be the 7th tier units, but in front of the giant dragon, there is no resistance at all. The life value was emptied in minutes, and then turned into scrap iron. Falling from the sky, it fell to the ground with a clanging clang, emitting sparks and thick smoke. Banners had already returned to Su Yi, looking back at the battle situation in the sky, but when he saw that the giant dragons had already eliminated thousands of flying robots in a single charge, Banners danced excitedly. Ha ha ha, good fight, keep going. Su Yi did not refuse Banner's suggestion. Chapter 200. Immediately give the order to let the dragons launch a fierce attack, and Banners had already mounted another giant dragon, flying side by side with Su Yi. I knew the Lord would understand what I meant. Banners laughed. Su Yi rolled his eyes at him. You should be thankful that I rushed back today. If 2 days later, you don't know what will happen to you. Banners shrugged his shoulders. Don't worry, I have already planned everything. As long as you can come back within 10 days, you will definitely be able to catch up with us. It will be a bit difficult if it takes more than 10 days. Su Yi was a little surprised when he heard this. He thought in his heart that Banners was awesome enough to think of things so comprehensively. Okay, don't talk about this, talk about how to deal with them, Su Yi said, pointing to the mechanical army led by CERN. By the way, as soon as these words came out, Banners didn't even think about it, and said straightforwardly, kill it, kill them all, and leave no one behind. Chapter 303. The Great Leader. John Chris. This is not because Banners is cruel, but because he was forced. CERN probably already knows about the gold mine. If it is allowed to go back, then the other leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom will definitely know about the gold mine. Banners is well aware of the strength of the Mechanical Kingdom, but it's not the current. Su Yi can stand up to it. Therefore, ensuring that the location information of the gold mine is not leaked is the best way to ensure safety, and there is no one besides. Banners did this for himself. Banners has been on the wanted list for almost a year before this accident. He had not been found by the Mechanical Kingdom. Only this time, he was found. The whereabouts are revealed. If the mechanical army of Then escapes back, the whereabouts of Banners will also be exposed along with the gold mine at that time. He will welcome more members of the Mechanical Kingdom to round up himself. Although Banners is crazy, he also knows the pros and cons. Definitely won't let this happen. Therefore, in this battle, it is the best way to wipe out the entire army of Then. Su Yi was not stupid, and understood what Banner meant, and immediately joined the battle. The same is true for Banners. During the time when Su Yi went to the north, Banners is supervising and maintaining the assembly line production of the gold coin workshop while researching more burst number 22. At this moment, one in his left hand, one in his right hand, one after another, he kept calling towards the army of the Mechanical Kingdom. Rumbling explosions resounded non-stop, blowing up the army of the Mechanical Kingdom. The fierce battle begins, and the robot Then is furious. I had to order and fight back with all my strength. Tens of thousands of mechanical armies began to fight one after another. Remove the baffle on the mechanical body, revealing the black barrel. Swoosh. Bullets, cannonballs, and even lasers are spurted out from these barrels, gather together, and fly towards the sky. The attack from the army of the Mechanical Kingdom is dense and terrifying, but the effect is not significant except for the most destructive laser. Other bullets and cannonballs can only cause 3-digit damage to the dragon. Only lasers. This is the strongest attack method of the mechanical army. It has the characteristics of ultra-high temperature, high speed, high penetration, and so on. With one blow, it was like a thunderbolt falling on the dragon. It can even deal thousands or even tens of thousands of damage in an instant. The threat cannot be underestimated, but that's all under Su Yi's order. The giant dragons accelerated their flight speed and attacked the machines that could launch traps. A few giant dragons formed a group and charged down. It only takes a few seconds to turn the mechanism of the launching mechanism into scrap iron. Soon, the dragons gained the upper hands in this battle. Sean was furious at this. Its intellectual brain began to give several solutions. In the end, CERN chose to escape Gundam. The 5-meter mechanical body resisted the attack from the giant dragon and rushed towards the distance. This scene fell into the eyes of Banners. HMPH, is it possible to escape? As he said that, Banners had already chased after him on his giant dragon. The dragon's speed far surpassed Then's, and he caught up with the latter in a short time, then attacked. Then's health keeps dropping. 2 eyes like car lights flickered non-stop while running wildly. He looked back. Banners, are you going to fight against a mechanical kingdom? Leader John Chris will not let you go. Hearing this, Banners threw a few more explosive 2s, blowing CERN to the ground. John Chris, it is not worthy to be the leader of the mechanical kingdom. It is not me who opposes the entire mechanical kingdom, but you. Banners yelled. Sean was silent. It is a robot after all. and in many cases, its response is not as quick as that of a human. Banners didn't give Cern much time to breathe. Riding the dragon is another onslaught. Sean fought back but not Banner's opponent. After a while, Then's life value was empty. The guy collapsed to the ground, his mechanical body contorted, emitting smoke and sparks. Banners jumped off the dragon's back and looked at Thern, who had been reduced to scrap iron in front of him. Take out a few explosion tutus and stuff them into Cern's body. He's going to destroy Thern entirely. Only in this way can traces of Then be eliminated as much as possible. With several violent explosions, Then's body was shattered into pieces and Banners rode the giant dragon back to Suya. The battle here is also coming to an end. The mechanical army is not the opponent of the dragon. Another, more than half an hour, all the mechanical army was completely eliminated. The mechanical bodies were scattered all over the place, emitting sparks and blue smoke. Suyi stood on Chilai's head and looked at Banners flying over. It's all done. Can I go back? Banners nodded, and together with Suyi, led the dragon army back. At the same time, in the main city of a secret realm, a giant robot over 10 meters tall was suddenly furious. A huge fist hit the throne behind him with a dense crackling sound. The throne behind the robot shattered into thousands of pieces. Then is dead. Who did it? The giant robot roared. It is the great leader of the mechanical kingdom, John Chris. This robot is just its body, its soul, residing in the light ball on the robot's chest. At this moment, John Chris roared. In an instant, some small robots in the hall were awakened, and they moved towards this side one after another. John Chris is in a state of rage, and the eyes on his head are constantly flashing a dazzling red light. Here, check. Locate the location where Cern died. I must know who it is who dared to kill the leader of my mechanical kingdom. There's also Banners. Keep looking. We must find his whereabouts, and then get back that blueprint. The small robots in the hall heard the words and nodded in understanding, then spread out one after another. Chapter 304 Tier 9 Arms, Doomsday Mecha. After finishing the battle with Cern's mechanical army, Suyi and Banners did not stay too long. Instead, he rode a giant dragon all the way back to the star field. Everything is fine here. The dozens of giant dragons placed here by Suyi were divided into two groups, monitoring the entire territory all the time, relying on the super high perception of the giant dragons. Whenever any monster approaches, it will be found in an instant. Even an ant fall from the sky. Banners was obviously exhausted and collapsed on the grass, panting heavily. Damn it, looks like I'll have to hurry up, Banners muttered to himself. Suyi frowned, a little confused about what Banners meant. The latter rested for a while, then stood up, and stretched out his right hand to Suyi. Then what about my blueprint? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.